Busy day in the NFL yesterday. Start with the Bills. They signed wide receiver Mac Delana. They've released cornerback Darryl Porter Jr. Around the league, the Patriots, they've acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown from the Eagles in exchange for a 2028 first-round pick and this year's fifth-round pick. The Rams, they acquired defensive end Myles Garrett from the Browns in exchange for edge rusher Jared Verse, a 2027 first, a 2028 second, and a 2029 third-round pick. And the Giants, they signed wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, and wide receiver Braxton Berrios. Also, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported yesterday that Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to become CBS sports analyst. In the NHL, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Puck drop set for 8 o'clock between Vegas and Carolina. The NBA Final, Game 1 tomorrow night between the Spurs and the Knicks with an 8:30 tip. Looking around Major League Baseball, yesterday the Mets fell to the Mariners 3-2. Tonight the Red Sox host the Orioles at 6:45. The Yankees play the Guardians at 7:05, and the Blue Jays play the Braves at 7:15. Also, Serena Williams heading back to professional tennis at the age of 44 after previously stepping away in 2022. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Jeremy White and Joe DiBiase.
You know, first of all, you're
Hey, everybody. I applied for Masters tickets yesterday.
Me too.
It's time.
Last night.
It's once again time.
I was reminded again. I'm like, oh, Brian, go sign, go register.
Yeah.
Go one per household.
It's one per household?
Every year I forget it's one per household.
Okay, so I can't do it
Yeah,
for
because when she tried to put our address in, it says, even though, it's a different account, no, you can't do it more than once.
Can I?
You have to have a card on file with the address. So there's no, can I text somebody, can I put your address down? And if you win if I win Masters tickets, you just give them to me? No, like you got to have a card.
You could do that if you get them to do the whole process, right?
Yes.
Like, all right, hey.
And put their card on file for you.
Right.
Yeah, then they
could I come up with a gambit where you and I, here's the idea, like, hey, every single listener that doesn't want to go to the Masters, will you enter for us?
Uh-huh.
And then just give us the tickets?
Yeah.
Is that not...
I mean, it would help our chances.
Is that not a good idea?
I think it's a great idea because, I mean, it's 0.5%. So
Bills win the Super Bowl or you win the Masters lottery.
Ooh. You're not telling me if I don't say yes to the Bills Super Bowl, they can't still win it.
That's right, and I'm not saying...
You're offering the guarantee?
Sure. What would be more meaningful?
The Bills Super Bowl.
Yes. That's
an
easy one.
I'm thinking there might be a way that I can get both because the odds of the Masters tickets are 1 in 200. So as long as I live, it's probably the probability would tell you I probably will never win them in my entire life, Masters tickets. Mm-hmm. Whereas I still expect I'll see a Bills Super Bowl someday.
So take the long shot.
So I think I want the long shot because I think I'm going to get a Bills Super Bowl someday.
If I'm offering either of them at even money to you.
Yeah, feel like, right. The expected value of the Masters tickets.
Yeah.
What would be more meaningful? Of course, the Bills Super Bowl. I mean, seeing Augusta would be incredible.
Oh, this is a good one. The world. We did this again like a couple weeks ago. The U.S. wins the World Cup or Masters tickets.
Oh, I'm going to Augusta. I'm definitely that one.
Sells
that one I'm
out
going
his
to Augusta.
country.
Yeah, I'm going to
A
Augusta.
soccer fan sells out his own country to walk on green grass.
I just don't know what it'll be. What it'll be like if the U.S. win. We're not doing parades here. We determined that, but do people go to the streets after they win to celebrate? Like what is it like?
Good question.
Probably fun.
Probably fun.
If you're out at a bar watching the game and they win,
Right.
You
but
know,
it's not like the city that they win in, right? Cities have parades. Would you have a national
the finals in New
tour?
York City, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they would do a national tour of some sort. I mean, that probably, I'm not giving that enough credit. If they were going into the finals against whoever, Brazil, and we knew, hey, tomorrow night, U.S. versus Brazil for the World Cup, I mean, it would break my brain. I mean, it would be one of the sporting events I'd be most excited for probably ever. Probably more than the gold medal hockey game, I think.
Ooh. Well, that was a
'Cause that wasn't
that was a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. too, right?
No,
Wasn't
I
it?
don't mind that. But that was like, I thought they were going to do that. This would be so unexpected that I don't know. I don't know if I want to hold to that. Would it be bigger for me than the U.S. in the gold medal game?
The good news is you'd get like a full month lead up to it.
Right. It would feel like a
kinda-
real season.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, wondering how you'd feel about it now is tougher when you've been through the group stage, the knockout stage. They win some dramatic game in the quarters. That.
Right. That's
Anyway.
right.
Well, I applied, so we'll see if I can win. I'd like to go to the Masters. I'd like to have that conversation. I'd like to get that email and say, "Ooh, honey, I've got Masters tickets."
Uh-huh.
What a moment it would feel like to win that lottery. So anyway,
How quickly would you get to or would you just automatically, like the second person you're taking?
I would see if my wife want to go, number one, and
Yep.
if she does not, or we feel like the kids have to be, she's going to watch them, I'm going to bring somebody else.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
How many of your friends are you got masters that are going to be like giving you applications, now giving you friendship applications?
All I'll
why
say
they
is this.
should be the selection.
All I'll say is this. You might have been on the list. But
Until then?
No. You might have been on the list.
Uh-huh.
But you did win Taylor Swift tickets a second time
I did. That's fair.
and did not offer them to
No, that's true.
me /
true.
my wife. So,
I've heard that comment from many people before. That's not the first time someone has said that to me before.
You went a second time.
A second time, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
All right.
you weren't expecting me to offer my tickets to you, but the other tickets we had.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. To pay for them. Anyway. Good morning, everybody. Sal at 7, Evan Lazar at 8:30 on the Patriots. We saw big changes yesterday in the NFL. Myles Garrett gets traded. The kind of thing where you started talking about it because Joe Marino talked about a quick lever you could pull on a Deion Dawkins trade, and then it was going to be
Yep.
I thought maybe we'll get a couple days of why not the Bills?
Yep.
Right? Oh, the Eagles and the Rams and the Cowboys will probably be linked to a Myles Garrett idea. And I would think, all right, great. We're going to talk about this for a couple days. Why not the Bills?
Yeah.
And we did not get to, noon?
No, it was
right about 1 o'clock. What time
yeah,
was it?
It was the middle of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, he was already traded. Traded to the Los Angeles Rams, and we'll talk about it with you. We'll also talk about the A.J. Brown trade, which has gone through. So one trade fully expected for months goes through, and one trade not even rumored for a moment, bang. Big one, blockbuster, Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse and a number of picks, a first, a second, and a third. So 803-0550. How do you feel about it? The very, very popular answer is that the Bills do not have – you want to start with Myles Garrett instead of A.J. Brown? Let's do that.
Yeah.
The Bills do not have Jared Verse.
No.
End of trade talks. The Rams, I read a story, were hoping to make it all picks. They wanted it to be all picks for Garrett, and Cleveland wouldn't budge. They wanted Verse, which is a big price. Jared Verse is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Awesome. I feel like if you're a Bills fan that watches the league, you might know. I mean, the Rams play a lot in prime time. He's a first-round draft pick. He was a defensive rookie of the year. He is awesome. And if I'm a Browns fan, I think I'm over the moon about what they got back in the trade because it's not just wheelbarrow full of draft picks. It's a stud. You got a stud.
Yeah, he is. He's not also. This could be tested on how good do you know ball. Verse has 12 sacks.
Yeah.
Don't judge him on the sack number.
No.
Like, there are pressure numbers. There's what he does in run defense. Like, this dude is a beast overall.
He the way that he plays is the way that I hope that any, you name it, single Bills defender plays in this defense.
Yeah.
Give me anybody on the front seven playing like Jared Verse, whether that's Michael Hoyt, or just he plays like a guy with his hair on fire, blows things up, gets pressure, gets double teams. Like, he is an absolute stud. In the early stages of the trade talks, again, which would have been yesterday from like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., the idea of Myles Garrett joining the Rams if they had Jared Verse is like they already have great defensive tackles, too. The Monstars in the form of a defensive line. So It's a little bit of mercy that the
They
Rams
had to give up
that
Verse.
yes. Because if they had been able to keep Verse and have Garrett, I mean, holy cow, I don't know what you would do. That defense has no holes. No holes.
And then Aaron Donald would return. And
Which he's going to return, right?
He posted a Instagram video that made it seem like he's gearing up to return.
Adam Schefter flat out put the two of them next to each other. To each other.
Yes, he did.
In a post. Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. So he's coming back?
Yeah, he's not played in 3 years, but he was still amazing when he retired. First team All-Pro. So, yeah, the Bills didn't have it.
They don't have it, right?
They didn't have Verse. And listen, you could blame them for that. They've been trying to get Jared Verse, haven't they? For 8 years? Haven't they been trying to, not even just Garrett. I mean, Garrett would be great, but you have been searching for that premier level defensive end that Verse is, and you haven't been able to land on it. And that eliminates you. Like, that really is where not having any stars, young stars especially, around Josh Allen might have cost you a run at the best defensive player in the league. But the one thing that I am curious about the Bills and their pursuit of this, or what their willingness would have been, because the Rams, I just have so much respect for the Rams, the guts that they have on deals, and just it really is bleep them picks. I mean, versus the only first-round pick they've made in 10 years, right? Like, that's also incredible, isn't it, that they're 1 for 1? Like, we've made one first-round pick in a decade, and he was awesome, and he was great.
He was also
and he allowed us to make this trade.
He was also 11th overall.
Yeah, he wasn't, like, top 5.
Right, which I've got a point to make about that a little bit later, too, because there's a funny thing that, well, in a couple of years we'll see where the trend falls. But
right. But the Rams' aggressiveness, like, yes, this guy is young and he's great, and he's only going into year 3. And, we don't care.
Oh, sorry. He was 19th overall, Jared Verse.
19th, even better. So, like, we're going to trade that guy. We're going to latch a first-round pick onto him. I mean, really, he's the defensive version of the Goff-Stafford trade, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like, we got a guy we know is good, and, we're going to attach first-round picks to it, and we're going to go upgrade. We're going to go get a guy that's even better at his position than he is. And that's where you can't know, because the Bills have not got themselves to a position where they have a Jared Verse to have this tested. But I would be very curious to know, if they had a Jared Verse, would they have been willing to make a trade like this? Because can't you just see the Bills having a Jared Verse and just thinking, yeah, what do we need to do that for? This guy's great. He's young. And
100%.
And we're going to pay him. And, like, we drafted and develop. And, like, honestly, I think if the Bills had Jared Verse, I don't think they would have made this trade.
I agree with that. And there's a case that they shouldn't, right? I don't think it has to be the biggest blockbuster for the Rams that makes sense. The Rams just spent a first-round pick on a quarterback, which they didn't have to do. They could have just drafted, Reuben Bain, had a young rookie defensive end to throw out there on that nasty offensive line, and not traded a whole carton of picks and Jared Verse. So I don't think it has to be that the Rams fleeced anybody or that this is a guarantee they should have done it. But yes, I'm glad you brought exactly that point up, because if the Bills had a great young player, would they walk away from him for the best player at the position? And I don't know that the answer to that is yes. Imagine for a moment you could make this trade, except pick whichever Bills player you want. It can't be someone that has signed an extension. right? Rousseau is not this player. Rousseau was never.
You want to make it
player.
Cole Bishop,
Cole Bishop, sure.
who's the best safety in the league.
Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like in a world where they would let you do it, would you upgrade like that?
Right. Would you trade Cole Bishop in a first for Kyle Hamilton?
Probably not.
That is actually pretty good. That's the closest to an equivalent. Because who else do the Bills have at their position that compares to Jared Verse?
It's tough because
there isn't.
The position is not a premium position, safety, the way that defensive end is.
True.
And the way that they've chased it. The thing about Verse, and again, you can't know who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. Verse goes 19th. That year, the Bills draft 28th overall. It's the worthy year. I'm sure if Verse had made it to 28, he'd have been on their board because they love their defensive linemen. They would have been seeking that for sure, even though they went out and traded down and got Keon Coleman. But, right, there's a lot of questions in here about how aggressive the Bills are willing to be, how aggressive they claim they are. They're in on everything, right? Yesterday was a little bit of snark about how the Bills are in on everything and never actually getting a big deal across the line. True or false? The boldest thing that this organization has done since signing Von Miller is firing the coach, and that wasn't the GM's call. What's the biggest actual move he's made since the Von Miller deal? It's DJ Moore?
Yes.
That
has to be the answer.
It has to be the answer.
Has to be the answer.
And DJ Moore is a nice idea. We'll see how it works. But I think it is a fair question / criticism of the GM to point out that it's always half measures and never all the way. There's always 1 foot still on the dock and 1 foot on the boat, and never fully in the boat. And that's every trade they make. That's Amari Cooper, not Devontae Adams. Couldn't get Devontae Adams. It's Amari Cooper. Okay, maybe he wanted to go to the Jets. You settle for the second guy. It's Jalen Waddle at the deadline. Okay, that's going to fall apart. That's not going to happen. It's Trey Hendrickson signs with the Ravens. It's the Ravens are the ones that make the trade for Max Crosby and back out. How about the Ravens being the team that closed the deal, even though they backed out of Max Crosby, twice in one offseason? At the position you always want to close the deal on. This guy, Garrett, would have been available around the draft. I don't know if you could put together a package because you don't have Jared Verse, but they are a little bit gun-shy on a lot of stuff. Are they not?
I think it's a combination of gun-shy, and I don't think they quite put themselves in a position to make these types of deals. Like that kind of goes back to
the salary cap
and all the
inflated salary cap
and the middle of the road contracts that really eat up all the room. Like the Bills had the combination yesterday at the time of the Garrett trade of two things being true: having being one of the teams with the fewest cap space in the NFL, and also not having a player of Jared Verse's caliber outside of Josh Allen. So, like, how do those two things be true at the same time? It's, well, I have a bunch of mid players that I've decided, I'm going to keep them all. I'm going to keep all of them, pretty much. Like, very few do they let walk. David Edwards, and do I have to go back years to Tremaine Edmonds before that? Like, guys that are just okay or pretty good, I pay all of them. Then, guess what? The next time a whale becomes available, you're not really in position to do it. I think yesterday was less of that and more of you just don't have a player versus caliber. But what about when Micah Parsons became available? They didn't have the cap space to do it then. And that's because I had to pay Terrell Bernard and I had to pay everybody. I just go down the list.
Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer.
And to me, like, I don't know what's going to be different. Like, the next time, like, will they act any different? Will the next time that a Myles Garrett or a Micah Parsons becomes available, I wonder how often that will happen. Like, it's kind of incredible that in a calendar year, are they the two most valuable pass rushers in the league? Two of them, at least, got traded. If that happened again in 6 months, you could add Hendrickson in, by the way. Hendrickson, premier-level pass rusher, led the league in sacks 2 years ago. Like, that guy changed teams. The next time someone of that caliber becomes available, whether that's in the middle of this regular season or if that were to be next offseason, are the Bills going to be equipped to chase it? Because I feel like sometimes it might be that they're gun-shy, and other times I feel like they can't even join the party because they don't have they can't pay the fee at the front gate.
Right. 803-0550 is the phone number. I don't think it's a slam dunk deal for the Rams, and the only player they probably could have sent back the other way. Whatever, maybe one of their defensive linemen you could say that about as well. They're tackles, but
I mean, they're trying to win the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, though.
Sure,
sure. No doubt.
So they upgrade from verse to
As much as I don't think sacks is the best measure of a pass rusher, because again, if you do that, I don't think you're giving Jared Verse enough credit. It is funny though that I think the stat was Myles Garrett in his last 7 games of the regular season had more sacks than Jared Verse has in his career.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting the best defensive end and the best defensive player in football. Like, I know the price is steep. I love it for the Browns, right? Like, if you're the Browns, why keep going with Garrett? Like, you're going nowhere. You're going to win 6 games, 7 games if you're lucky. He's 30. You cash out now, and they could not have done better. So, yeah, I think the Rams paid a huge price, and it doesn't have to work out for them, but what is that to say? Just that they won't win the Super Bowl? Like, I respect a team that is sole reason for existing is just the Super Bowl. That's it. Like, everything we do is going to be about winning that. And no, we're not going to, the pick part of it, kind of proving to the league, like, we don't need these.
Right.
We're just going to use them to get star players.
And it's a first, a second,
and we're going to win.
Spread out over 3 different years.
Yeah.
So you traded a pick a year where they've said, right, they've shown you. 803-0550. We'll get some phone calls in here. Josh in West Seneca leads us off this morning. Hey, Josh.
Hey, guys. You probably don't remember this. I called last year and kind of like freaked out when they signed Joey Bosa. And this is the exact reason. There's always this floor that he feels he needs to be at. And because he feels his floor needs to be at, the ceiling gets lower. And so you don't have a Jared Verse guy to trade because, no offense, he sucks at drafting. Like, it is terrible. I mean, especially in the first 3 rounds. I mean, I think he's really good at the end of the draft and finding those gems. But the reason we don't have a Verse guy is because he's always worried about the floor. And this kind of goes back to what at least the alleged meeting that McDermott had with Bean and Pagula, saying that the roster's not good enough. And this is why the roster's not good enough. Well, we have all these like random Joe Schmo guys to fill out the roster in depth, but then you don't have the space to do anything to be better. And, you know, it's funny because Bean has talked about Garrett specifically, and he always has said guys like that don't become available. Well, you had, like you guys said, Parsons was available. Mm-hmm. Garrett was available.
Parsons, Garrett, Crosby, Hendrickson. Like, right. Was Aiden Hutchinson next? Like, is Danielle Hunter going to be available? Danielle Hunter was available inside of 2 years. Yeah.
And the thing is that when you don't draft appropriately, because even look at this draft. I mean, granted, these guys haven't played it down in the NFL, so who knows? But like that, especially the first 3 or 4 picks, we're like all ripping our hair out. Like, are you serious? These are the guys you're going after, these high ceiling, or high floor guys. And it's just super frustrating that, like, it feels very much that this is Bean's ego, that, like, guys like Keon, why is Keon the guy that just can't seem to get it right? Granted, again, he's a young player, young guy, but it's always about what he has done and drafted, and what he has done and drafted sucks. Like, it's terrible. I mean, Elam, bust of a pick. Kincaid, hurt all the time. That's not Bean's fault particularly, but there's always this high floor, but nobody wants to trade for high floor guys. Nobody does. And when the really, really high-end guys become available and you see teams, it's always the Eagles, the Rams, you know, these guys that can make it happen. Well, you don't have anything that those teams want. That's because you either pay your floor guys too much, and a lot of those floor guys are the guys you drafted.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just frustrating. I always want to be – I know that the Bills didn't have a Verse. I want to be that team that's like, dude, we got the guy. I don't want to hear we were in on it. We just couldn't make it happen. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like in any relationship. If someone tells you, "Oh, sorry, man, I can't make it," and he does that like 5, 6, 7 times, you're like, dude, whatever. You're just not showing up. And that's kind of how I feel with Bean. You're just not going to make it happen. You're going to give the excuse, and we got to kind of have to just, as fans, just deal with it.
Right.
So,
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, like the pass rusher, it's really pass rusher here for this conversation, right? Where it has been a relentless pursuit of a pass rush for 6 years.
It's really been the whole time. It's been 8.
But especially since 13 seconds, since signing Vaughn, which I think was a good move and blew up in their face only because of injury. He was awesome and got hurt. And Myles Garrett is 2 years younger than him and costs a lot more. It's this pursuit of this idea, and I don't think they could have made this Garrett trade. We had someone in the chat say it's a cop-out. Explain how it's a cop-out. You don't have Jared Verse. Verse is worth more than a first-round pick.
Right. Your counter would be what? Like I said yesterday that when that Darryl Ryder tweet came out about the Eagles and the Rams, I said I think if Garrett's traded today or whenever, I would trust the Rams or the Eagles are going to make that deal before the Bills are. And what I said, the reason was not because they don't have a Jared Verse. It's because I don't think Bean has shown kind of what you're talking about, like the willingness to outbid a team like that, be that aggressive, that you're willing to outbid the most aggressive GMs and teams in the NFL. So, okay, what would that have taken? Like, would 2 firsts and Greg Rousseau have beat out Jared Verse in a first? Like, I don't even know if that would have been the case.
I don't think it would have.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know that what I said yesterday was possible. Like, if there was something you could have given them that would have outbid what the Rams package was, it might not have existed.
Right.
Because you would have needed the Browns to love Rousseau or...
Listen, I've got a case to make that the Browns should trade Jared Verse, by the way. Right away.
Really?
I do.
Why?
But because they could probably...
He's pretty young.
He's pretty young. They don't need the cap savings because they spin him to a contender right away, get a boatload of picks. But the reality is he's so young that they can just pay him and they can try to be good with him on their team.
Yeah.
Their turnaround does not have to take long. They're going to need a quarterback. But anyway, Jared Verse, if he was not on the Rams, teams would have been knocking down the door for this player, contenders. He was on a contender, so you think you couldn't get this player. Instead, he spun in the Myles Garrett deal. So it's a big one. The question is, like, if the Bills had a good young stud, would the Bills trade that player for the best? Right? Kenny Clark. If the Bills had Kenny Clark, would they trade him and 2 firsts for Micah Parsons? I don't know. I don't even think you have to make the case that they should. They should in the case of Verse. Mm-hmm. But, man, to me, the whole thing feels like McDermott because McDermott, for me, was always, I'll believe that once it happens. And then when it happened, I kind of had to go back and say, well, all right, now all those other times when Ben Johnson's available, should I have been thinking about Ben Johnson instead of this? Right? I ruled it out, and I didn't even think about it. And with Garrett, same thing. Oh, please. They're never actually going to trade that guy. Oh, they did? Mm-hmm. How many times was it maybe right there for you? They wouldn't listen before. You wouldn't pay the price before. I mean, whatever. It took a heck of a package to get him moved. All that and A.J. Brown to the Patriots, which I think is significant. So we'll talk about that with you, Sal, at 7 o'clock. OTA's back to work this week for the Bills. Evan Lazar on the Patriots and their acquisition of A.J. Brown, who has already walked into the facility in New England as of 4 minutes ago. So he's up and at work early. 803-0550. Rich, Larry, anybody else want to jump in? We got a good spicy show today on Jared Verse, Myles Garrett, A.J. Brown, and the pursuit, of course, of a Super Bowl. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. One trade fully expected for months goes through, and one trade not even rumored for a moment, bang. Big one, blockbuster, Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse and a number of picks, a first, a second, and a third. So 803-0550. How do you feel about it? The very, very popular answer is that the Bills do not have – you want to start with Myles Garrett instead of A.J. Brown? Let's do that.
Yeah.
The Bills do not have Jared Verse.
No.
End of trade talks. The Rams, I read a story, were hoping to make it all picks. They wanted it to be all picks for Garrett, and Cleveland wouldn't budge. They wanted Verse, which is a big price. Jared Verse is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Awesome. I feel like if you're a Bills fan that watches the league, you might know. I mean, the Rams play a lot in prime time. He's a first-round draft pick. He was a defensive rookie of the year. He is awesome. And if I'm a Browns fan, I think I'm over the moon about what they got back in the trade, because it's not just a wheelbarrow full of draft picks. It's a stud. You got a stud.
Yeah, he is. He's not also. This could be tested on how good do you know ball. Verse has 12 sacks.
Yeah.
Don't judge him on the sack number.
No.
Like, there are pressure numbers. There's what he does in run defense. Like, this dude is a beast overall.
He the way that he plays is the way that I hope that any, you name it, single Bills defender plays in this defense.
Yeah.
Give me anybody on the front seven playing like Jared Verse, whether that's Michael Hoyt, or just he plays like a guy with his hair on fire, blows things up, gets pressure, gets double teams. Like, he is an absolute stud.
One thing that I am curious about the Bills and their pursuit of this, or what their willingness would have been, because the Rams, I just have so much respect for the Rams, the guts that they have on deals, and just, it really is bleep them picks. I mean, versus the only first-round pick they've made in 10 years, right? Like, that's also incredible, isn't it, that they're 1 for 1? Like, we've made one first-round pick in a decade, and he was awesome, and he was great.
He was also
and he allowed us to make this trade.
He was also 11th overall.
Yeah, he wasn't like top 5.
Right, which I've got a point to make about that a little bit later, too, because there's a funny thing that, well, in a couple of years we'll see where the trend falls. But
right. But the Rams' aggressiveness, like, yes, this guy is young and he's great, and he's only going into year 3. And, we don't care.
Oh, sorry, he was 19th overall, Jared Verse.
19th, even better. So, like, we're going to trade that guy. We're going to latch a first-round pick onto him. I mean, really, he's the defensive version of the Goff-Stafford trade, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like, we got a guy we know is good, and we're going to attach first-round picks to it, and we're going to go upgrade. We're going to go get a guy that's even better at his position than he is, and that's where you can't know, because the Bills have not got themselves to a position where they have a Jared Verse to have this tested. But I would be very curious to know if they had a Jared Verse, would they have been willing to make a trade like this? Because can't you just see the Bills having a Jared Verse and just thinking, yeah, what do we need to do that for? This guy's great. He's young. And
100%.
And we're going to pay him. And, like, we drafted and develop. And, like, honestly, I think if the Bills had Jared Verse, I don't think they would have made this trade.
I agree with that. And there's a case that they shouldn't, right? I don't think it has to be the biggest blockbuster for the Rams that makes sense. The Rams just spent a first-round pick on a quarterback, which they didn't have to do. They could have just drafted, like, I don't know, Reuben Bain, had a young rookie defensive end to throw out there on that nasty offensive line, and not traded a whole carton of picks and Jared Verse. So I don't think it has to be that the Rams fleeced anybody or that this is a guarantee they should have done it. But yes, I'm glad you brought exactly that point up, because if the Bills had a great young player, would they walk away from him for the best player at the position? And I don't know that the answer to that is yes.
Busy day in the NFL yesterday. We'll start with the Bills. They signed wide receiver Mac Delana. They've released cornerback Daryl Porter Jr. And looking around the NFL, the Patriots, they acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown from the Eagles in exchange for a 2028 first-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. The Rams have acquired defensive end Myles Garrett from the Browns in exchange for edge rusher Jared Verse, a 2027 first, 2028 second, and a 2029 third-round pick. And the Giants, they signed wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, and wide receiver Braxton Berrios. Also, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported yesterday that Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to join CBS to become a sports analyst. In the NHL, Game 1 in the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Puck drop set for 8 o'clock between Vegas and Carolina. The NBA Final, Game 1 is tomorrow night between the Spurs and the Knicks with an 8:30 tip. And around Major League Baseball. Yesterday, the Mets fell to the Mariners 3-2. Tonight, the Red Sox host the Orioles at 6:45. The Yankees play the Guardians at 7:05. The Blue Jays play the Braves at 7:15. Also, Serena Williams heading back to professional tennis at the age of 44 after previously stepping away in 2022. Join Brian Koziel on June 6th as he broadcasts live from Batavia Downs for the Belmont Stakes from 2 to 5. Check out the Belmont parties and specials at BataviaDownsGaming.com. Batavia Downs Gaming and Hotel, the area's premier entertainment destination. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
To me, the Rams were still the best team, and they did not get the Super Bowl. Why? Some might say defense. They fixed the cornerback room, getting both Chiefs corners in Trent McDuffie and signing in Jalen Watson. And then now you go from Jared Verse, who in his own right was a defensive rookie of the year. But I even said in Stats vs. Film episodes that he went silent a bit too often. He wasn't getting them off the field in critical situations. Myles Garrett gives you the opportunity to do that and then some. So you fix the worst position group on the roster last year at the cornerback spot, and then you upgrade the edge rushing department and like the get off the field player in critical 3rd and 4th downs. And once again, I present to you that the Los Angeles Rams are the best team.
Josh Norris of Underdog Fantasy. Jeremy and Joe, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, June 2nd. Oh, man, I forgot to wish my cousin happy birthday yesterday. Wait a minute, though. There might be a loophole here.
Australia?
Yes. Although it is.
I think it's the other way around.
I know, but I could
Might be June 3rd already.
No,
there,
I don't think it's June 3rd yet.
But it's almost June 3rd?
The fact that she lives in a different day than me sometimes, I feel like, is an excuse to miss a birthday.
But again, I think, okay, fine, right. Wouldn't it be the other way around? I think the date thing here is working against you.
I know it's the wrong way. I'm simply saying
it is the wrong way.
You just got to roll with, I just had it flipped in my head. I was trying to get it on the day that it's your birthday.
The other way to do it is this. It's like, I was going to send the message yesterday, but I knew you were asleep.
Right.
So I'll send it today.
That's a good one, too.
All right. Happy birthday to my cousin Megan. She lives in Melbourne. And I don't know if they're going to go to Rams-Niners.
It's a pretty good game to go to. It's a pretty
good game. She's a huge Myles Garrett fan. Rich in Lakeview's up next. Hey, Rich.
Good morning. Hey, heads up to the board op on this spicy morning, hitting us up with the Wham classic, Everything She Wants, when talking about
an incredible song.
There you go. Incredible composer, and what a guy to his friend. Could compose Careless Whispers while Andrew Ridgeley watched Match of the Day on BBC. So great guy and residuals.
And George Michael, My Birthday, bro. One of my favorites, and shares my birthday.
Wonderful, classic. Shout out to George Michael. It's been 2 weeks since the Sabres have been out, and actually, after the bitterness has been gone, I take a bit of pride. After 2 hip replacement surgeries, I equaled Alex Tuck's playoff output against Montreal, so I can talk about that out at parties. I haven't had to hear the totally manufactured moniker of Saberhood, and I hope River Hockey, sorry, Jeremy, gets thrown on the scrap heap of local lexicon with the whole 6-7 phase. You won't believe it. Go to a high school now. The kids saw it a month ago. They're hacky sacking again, very poorly.
That's great. That's great news.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's not great because you hear the tick of the sack. And, my bad, bro. They're not very good at it just because. But there's a summer ahead of them to look forward to. So you're talking about the aggressiveness of the Rams. So now the Sabres season has been put to bed. We get to share a little bit of the World Championships again. The pall of Buffalo sportsdom starts to creep back in. I see the aggressiveness of the Rams, and then I look what's going around here. And if we want to get crazy, we want to get spicy. Joe, congratulations on fatherhood.
Rich, let's go. What do you got here? Come on, get to it.
Rich.
Josh, if you said if they have no Super Bowls or what's going to happen first, you see the aggressiveness. 4 or 5 years, is Josh Allen a Ram or a 49er? That's great. Would they be crazy enough to make that move if we have not reached the mountain already?
Well, the Bills certainly would not too. Would the Rams be crazy enough? Definitely. Of course,
Sure,
I
they
think
would.
that's an obvious they would.
The Bills would not.
The Bills would not do that unless they got to a point there where Josh is playing the final year or two of his career and they think it's time because he wants to.
Yeah.
This is a boogeyman fear for a couple Bills fans that like Josh is just going to go to the Rams. It's a big boogeyman fear.
And is it, how much of it is because of Hollywood and California and Haley?
Sure, I guess.
This point.
It's not something that enters my thoughts ever, really.
No, me neither.
You want to get me 6 years from now and then ask again? Maybe, but it's 2026. I will agree to entertain the idea in 2032. It's not something to fear.
And honestly, by that point, I guess it depends who's calling the shots at that point, but won't the Bills, if the Bills aren't acting like the Rams now, won't they be when Allen is Stafford's age?
They could
Whether
be.
they want, I don't even care if they've won one or not.
They could be
nearing the end of his career.
Empty the tank.
Go all out. We don't care. This was the Saints with Drew Brees, wasn't it? Like, we're nearing the end of Drew Brees. They did a lot of stuff with contracts in the cap that put themselves in jail after Drew Brees retired. Why? Because they were going for it at the last couple of years of Drew Brees' career.
They've also been in jail like 10 years afterwards. I mean, they're just kind of a poorly.
They kind of do that in jail.
They're kind of a poorly run team.
But I don't know, like the Rams, I don't think the Rams are doing this just because Stafford is old. The Rams have proven that they will act this way no matter what. But I don't know what would get the Bills to be like that. Maybe it would just be they won't until Allen is 36. And they feel like we got a couple of years left of this. We're not worried about the consequences down the road. Because otherwise they typically act as though they are afraid of the consequences of making big aggressive moves. Just in the evidence, they haven't really made one. Well, they made one, DJ Moore, and there was a consequence to that. Like, you're paying a lot of money, but it was a guy that we thought might have got cut by Chicago if you hadn't traded for him.
I thought he might, but maybe there's a market. Maybe there's another team out there. Moore can be super important for them and help make them a lot better. But yeah, that price was always surprising to me.
And it can just be harder to get excited about him when there are so many guys now that have been moved in the offseason that are more valuable pieces than he is, whether they play the position or not. And I guess we could argue whether Brown is that or not, but there were a lot of big names. And to stick to pass rusher, though, and not make it all about Moore, like Garrett getting traded yesterday, it's not even just the top-level guys, right? Like Garrett and Parsons and Hendrickson, like these are the premier level guys, and maybe Hendrickson's not even worthy of that. But Brian Burns got traded in the last couple of years, and you mentioned Danielle Hunter, and Hassan Reddick's been traded multiple times, right? Like, where is their big swing? Some of these don't even work. Josh Sweat, right? Big free agent money to Arizona. Like, some of these don't even work, but I don't know. Have they been spooked by Von Miller? Is that what's happened here?
It's possible.
Have they been spooked by, we signed Von Miller, giant contract, injured, look at what it cost us. Blocked us from doing anything else big in that time frame.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Are they spooked by Von? Are they spooked by Diggs? Is another conversation. Because, more of your calls in a moment here. Larry, we'll get to you in a second. But I'm thinking about, whatever, there's a lot of ways to build. I don't come in today feeling worse about their chances to win the Super Bowl this year, but I think there's a fair conversation to be had about whether or not the Bills are as aggressive as they need to be, because it's been a couple years. Drake May. So for Drake May, 2 years in a row now, where that team is going to say, "Oh yeah, that receiver with a lot of baggage, like that's not a problem here. Mm-hmm. We're going to go get a player that's going to make a difference for you." Like, we're going to get Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, what a risk for the Patriots. How'd it go? Very well. And then it's over in a year. And then they're going to go get A.J. Brown. right? Like,
Yeah.
you could say a lot of things about, oh, boy, you got to worry about a receiver like that. Are you sure you do? What evidence is there that you really have to worry about that that's a problem? So here's Drake May. In his rookie year, he'll play with two guys where the team says, we run the team. You will do fine with this guy. He's good. We'll play. We'll handle it. I don't know if that's a Vrabel thing. I don't know if Joe Brady is going to be different about handling those personalities than Sean McDermott was. There was an indication about like a different kind of thing. Did you see C.J. Gardner-Johnson yesterday? You did not.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I gotta follow him. He's got some.
You
some
should be following C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
The food thing, soul food last week, right?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson of the Buffalo Bills tweeted and deleted something. Tell you what it is, because I saw it and I liked it. Not for what it was, but what it might represent about him. Get to that. Get to your calls. Get to Sal rolling here on a Tuesday on WGR. True or false? The boldest thing that this organization has done since signing Von Miller is firing the coach, and that wasn't the GM's call. What's the biggest actual move he's made since the Von Miller deal? It's DJ Moore?
Yes.
That
has to be the answer.
It has to be the answer.
Has to be the answer.
And DJ Moore is a nice idea. We'll see how it works. But I think it is a fair question/criticism of the GM to point out that it's always half measures and never all the way. Mm-hmm. There's always 1 foot still on the dock and 1 foot on the boat, and never fully in the boat. And that's every trade they make. That's Amari Cooper, not Devontae Adams. Couldn't get Devontae Adams. It's Amari Cooper. Okay, maybe he wanted to go to the Jets. You settle for the second guy. It's Jalen Waddle at the deadline. Okay, that's going to fall apart. That's not going to happen. It's Trey Hendrickson signs with the Ravens. It's the Ravens are the ones that make the trade for Max Crosby and back out. How about the Ravens being the team that closed the deal, even though they backed out of Max Crosby, twice in one offseason? At the position you always want to close the deal on. This guy, Garrett, would have been available around the draft. I don't know if you could put together a package because you don't have Jared Verse, but they are a little bit gun-shy on a lot of stuff. Are they not?
I think it's a combination of gun-shy, and I don't think they quite put themselves in a position to make these types of deals. Like that kind of goes back to
the salary cap.
And all the middle
inflated salary cap
and the middle of the road contracts that really eat up all the room. Like the Bills had the combination yesterday at the time of the Garrett trade of two things being true: having being one of the teams with the fewest cap space in the NFL, and also not having a player of Jared Verse's caliber outside of Josh Allen. So, like, how do those two things be true at the same time? It's, well, I have a bunch of mid players that I've decided, I'm going to keep them all. I'm going to keep all of them, pretty much. Like, very few do they let walk. David Edwards, and do I have to go back years to Tremaine Edmonds before that? Like, guys that are just okay or pretty good, I pay all of them. Then, guess what? The next time a whale becomes available, you're not really in position to do it. I think yesterday was less of that and more of you just don't have a player versus caliber. But what about when Micah Parsons became available? They didn't have the cap space to do it then. And that's because I had to pay Terrell Bernard and I had to pay everybody. I just go down the list.
Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer.
And to me, like, I don't know what's going to be different. Like, the next time, like, will they act any different?
One trade fully expected for months goes through, and one trade not even rumored for a moment, bang. Big one, blockbuster. Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse and a number of picks, a first, a second, and a third. So 803-0550. How do you feel about it? The very, very popular answer is that the Bills do not have. You want to start with Myles Garrett instead of A.J. Brown? Let's do that.
Yeah.
The Bills do not have Jared Verse.
No.
End of trade talks. The Rams, I read a story, were hoping to make it all picks. They wanted it to be all picks for Garrett, and Cleveland wouldn't budge. They wanted Verse, which is a big price. Jared Verse is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Awesome. I feel like if you're a Bills fan that watches the league, you might know. I mean, the Rams play a lot in prime time. He's a first-round draft pick. He was a defensive rookie of the year. He is awesome. And if I'm a Browns fan, I think I'm over the moon about what they got back in the trade, because it's not just a wheelbarrow full of draft picks. It's a stud. You got a stud.
Yeah. He is. He's not also. This could be tested on how good do you know ball. Verse has 12 sacks.
Yeah.
Don't judge him on the sack number.
No.
Like, there are pressure numbers. There's what he does in run defense. Like, this dude is a beast overall.
He the way that he plays is the way that I hope that any, you name it, single Bills defender plays in this defense.
Yeah.
Give me anybody on the front seven playing like Jared Verse, whether that's Michael Hoyt, or just he plays like a guy with his hair on fire, blows things up, gets pressure, gets double teams. Like, he is an absolute stud. Jeremy and Joe, good morning. All right, went to the break. Tease something quickly that C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I learned about another tweet from him.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw he tweeted, might as well get Vaughn back. 3 exclamation points. That was the only tweet I saw from
All
yesterday.
right.
Or there was. That's the only one that's up from yesterday.
I'm going to like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. One, I think he can be a heck of a playmaker out there, and he's interesting. But he's also, I think, tweeting things that are making the Bills uncomfortable. Yesterday, that one, might as well bring Vaughn back. Okay. Yesterday, he tweeted a video of Diggs in a Bills jersey, and I can't exactly what it said, but it was, why not bring Diggs back? So that's a guy just showed up, and what's he thinking? He's thinking, hey, let's go get the best players, baby. I don't know that Diggs is that anymore, but
I think it was why not? Why not? Or why not now? Or something like
why
that.
Not? But it was definitely why not Diggs?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like he might go to the Rams, too.
Diggs keeps musing about the Bills, too, by the way.
He did it again?
He did it again.
Alt account keeps posting.
The alt account
There's
is
just
crazy.
no way. There's
No.
just no way.
But it, I don't know, it'd be kind of fun.
And I've got
Definitely no way.
I've got a jersey, but no way.
Only Bills
Why?
jersey I've ever owned.
Because he's going to make them uncomfortable?
No, because where's the spot for him? Whose job is he taking? Keon Coleman's?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
I think they want Keon Coleman to run block, among other things, and be a red zone target. I don't. Diggs is going to be a middle of the field guy, and I don't think that they need that right now. I don't see it. I don't see Fitz. So
I think Rams for him anyway. Or Giants, because they signed every receiver that was good in 2018.
Juju Smith-Schuster, Odell Beckham, and Braxton Berrios.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I tricked my buddy into thinking, my Giants friend, that they also signed Gabe Davis yesterday. They did not.
803-0550 is our phone number. More of your calls on the other side. Stick with us. What do you think about A.J. Brown? What do you think about Myles Garrett? We'll also bring in Sal Capaccio to talk about it. The Bills are back at OTAs again today. It's all coming up here on WGR.
One thing that I am curious about the Bills and their pursuit of this, or what their willingness would have been, because the Rams, I just have so much respect for the Rams, the guts that they have on deals, and just it really is bleep them picks. I mean, versus the only first-round pick they've made in 10 years, right? Like, that's also incredible, isn't it, that they're 1 for 1? Like, we've made one first-round pick in a decade, and he was awesome, and he was great.
He was also
and he allowed us to make this trade.
He was also 11th overall.
Yeah, he wasn't, like, top 5.
Right, which I've got a point to make about that a little bit later, too, because there's a funny thing that, well, in a couple of years we'll see where the trend falls. But
Right. But the Rams' aggressiveness, like, yes, this guy is young and he's great, and he's only going into year 3. And, yeah, we don't care.
Oh, sorry, he was 19th overall, Jared Verse.
19th, even better. So, like, we're going to trade that guy. We're going to latch a first-round pick onto it. I mean, really, he's the defensive version of the Goff-Stafford trade, isn't it? Like, we got a guy we know is good, and, yeah, we're going to attach first-round picks to it, and we're going to go upgrade. We're going to go get a guy that's even better at his position than he is. And that's where you can't know, because the Bills they've not got themselves to a position where they have a Jared Verse to have this tested. But I would be very curious to know, if they had a Jared Verse, would they have been willing to make a trade like this? Because can't you just see the Bills having a Jared Verse and just thinking, yeah, what do we need to do that for? This guy's great. He's young, and
100%.
And we're going to pay him, and like, we drafted and develop, and like, honestly, I think if the Bills had Jared Verse, I don't think they would have made this trade.
I agree with that. And there's a case that they shouldn't, right? I don't think it has to be the biggest blockbuster for the Rams that makes sense. The Rams just spent a first-round pick on a quarterback, which they didn't have to do. They could have just drafted, like, I don't know, Reuben Bain, had a young rookie defensive end to throw out there on that nasty offensive line, and not traded a whole carton of picks and Jared Verse. So I don't think it has to be that the Rams fleeced anybody or that this is a guarantee they should have done it. But yes, I'm glad you brought exactly that point up, because if the Bills had a great young player, would they walk away from him for the best player at the position? And I don't know that the answer to that is yes. True or false? The boldest thing that this organization has done since signing Von Miller is firing the coach, and that wasn't the GM's call. What's the biggest actual move he's made since the Von Miller deal? It's DJ Moore?
Yes.
Which
I mean, that has to be the answer.
It has to be the answer.
Has to be the answer.
And DJ Moore is a nice idea. We'll see how it works. But I think it is a fair question/criticism of the GM to point out that it's always half measures and never all the way. There's always 1 foot still on the dock and 1 foot on the boat, and never fully in the boat. And that's every trade they make. That's Amari Cooper, not Devontae Adams. Couldn't get Devontae Adams. It's Amari Cooper. Okay, maybe he wanted to go to the Jets. You settle for the second guy. It's Jalen Waddle at the deadline. Okay, that's going to fall apart. That's not going to happen. It's Trey Hendrickson signs with the Ravens. It's the Ravens are the ones that make the trade for Max Crosby and back out. How about the Ravens being the team that closed the deal, even though they backed out of Max Crosby, twice in one offseason? At the position you always want to close the deal on. This guy, Garrett, would have been available around the draft. I don't know if you could put together a package because you don't have Jared Verse, but they are a little bit gun-shy on a lot of stuff.
Are they
not?
I think it's a combination of gun-shy, and I don't think they quite put themselves in a position to make these types of deals. Like that kind of goes back to
the salary cap.
The
is
salary
always,
cap and all the
inflated salary cap
and the middle of the road contracts that really eat up all the room. Like the Bills had the combination yesterday at the time of the Garrett trade of two things being true: having being one of the teams with the fewest cap space in the NFL, and also not having a player of Jared Verse's caliber outside of Josh Allen. So, like, how do those two things be true at the same time? It's, well, I have a bunch of mid players that I've decided, I'm going to keep them all. I'm going to keep all of them, pretty much. Like, very few do they let walk. David Edwards, and do I have to go back years to Tremaine Edmonds before that? Like, guys that are just okay or pretty good, I pay all of them. Then, guess what? The next time a whale becomes available, you're not really in position to do it. I think yesterday was less of that and more of you just don't have a player versus caliber. But what about when Micah Parsons became available? They didn't have the cap space to do it then. And that's because I had to pay Terrell Bernard and I had to pay everybody. I just go down the list.
Curtis Samuel, Josh
Right.
Palmer.
And to me, like, I don't know what's going to be different. Like, the next time, like, will they act any different?
Busy day in the NFL yesterday. We'll start with the Bills. They signed wide receiver Mac Delana. They released cornerback Daryl Porter Jr. And around the league, the Patriots, they acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown from the Eagles in exchange for a 2028 first and a 2027 fifth. The Rams, they've acquired defensive end Myles Garrett from the Browns in exchange for edge rusher Jared Verse, a 2027 first, a 2028 second, and a 2029 third. The Giants, they signed wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, and wide receiver Braxton Berrios. And ESPN's Adam Schefter reported yesterday Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to join CBS to become a sports analyst. In the NHL, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight, puck drop at 8 between Vegas and Carolina. The NBA Final, Game 1 tomorrow night between the Spurs and the Knicks, 8:30 tip. Around Major League Baseball, yesterday, the Mets fell to the Mariners 3-2. Tonight, the Red Sox host the Orioles at 6:45. The Yankees play the Guardians at 7:05, and the Blue Jays play the Braves at 7:15. Also, Serena Williams heading back to professional tennis at the age of 44 after previously stepping away in 2022. Join us in the fight against cancer by riding with the WGR Ride for Roswell team on Saturday, June 27th. When you sign up, you'll get a rider gift from WGR and Tom's Pro Bike on Walden Avenue in Lancaster. Plus, at the event, stop by our table and scan the QR code for a chance to win a $1,000 gift card to Tom's Pro Bike. Visit WGR550.com for all of the details. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
We'll bring in Sal Capaccio in a moment here. Jeremy and Joe. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy to have you along. Join us on the stream if you can on YouTube if you'd like to. It's brought to you by Belknap Heating and Cooling. And if you notice a rattle in your ducts or a rise in your heating and cooling bills, give Belknap a ring. 0% financing. The cost of upgrading to a high-efficiency dual-fuel heating system is a breeze. Learn more at belknapheating.com. That's belknapheating.com. Go green, save energy and money with Belknap. Schedule a free estimate on your new installation. Give Belknap a ring at 688-1728 for more comfort and less ka-ching. Give Belknap a ring. All right. Bill's back to work today. There'll be some media today as well. We'll talk about that with Sal Capaccio and get some of your phone calls in here with Sal. Sal, good morning.
Morning to you.
What was your reaction to the blockbuster, the big one, Myles Garrett, actually traded, right? An idea we would have talked about several times over the last however many years, and he's finally actually on the move to the Los Angeles Rams.
Well, a few different reactions. Number one was, you thought it might happen over the last couple of years, and it didn't. And it's like, okay, well, it might finally make sense that, what happened last year with his contract rework, and there were some rumblings. If you'd really paid attention over the last week or so, there were a lot of rumblings this could happen. And then it happened very quickly, though. I didn't think it'd come together that quickly. I mean, the Rams were always a team that was thought to be, in the mix. Rams and Eagles were. I really thought the Eagles would be the team simply because it seems like the Eagles make these kind of moves. Not that the Rams don't. They do too. But it felt like, maybe the Eagles were the team that was trending that way. But then you look at the compensation. So that happened. Then you look at the compensation. Look, I mean, you never want to trade Myles Garrett, right? I mean, he's incredible. He's one of the greatest to ever play the game. You can't judge a trade just based on, it's not apples to apples all the time. These two teams are in completely different situations. I think the Browns did really well for what they did here, to be honest with you. Like, they're not going to win this year with Myles Garrett. He's 30 years old. It sucks to trade him. It sucks to lose him. They made their bed and put themselves in this position. Jared Verse is really freaking good.
Yep.
And they got a first-round pick out of it and a second and a third. Like I think this is a win-win for both sides, to be honest with you. And for the Rams, you think about the only one thing I don't like about the Rams. First of all, what I love is they get Myles Garrett for them, and they're going for a Super Bowl. I mean, this is what they should do. They have Matthew Stafford playing out the twilight of his career, coming back. They're pushing all their chips in, as they have done, And I think if you're a fan of a team, that's what you want them to do. The only thing I don't love is I still wonder why the heck they drafted a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
Well,
after all of this, even if they are looking at the future, like that position doesn't make sense. Like you could still replenish because guys, like they're going to have to replenish around the roster as they go.
I think the answer is simple. Like they took him 13th, right?
Yeah.
Is that they don't anticipate being close to 13th again. In fact, especially if they're going to trade their own firsts.
I'm looking. Someone did report that. I don't know if it was Jeremy Fowler. Somebody said that the Rams, maybe it was Jay Glazer, that the talks for Garrett had gone back to the draft, and the Rams anticipated we're not going to have a first next year. That if we're going to pick a quarterback, we should do it now because next year we're not going to be able to do it. And if Stafford retires, then we're going to be left with nothing. I guess I still understand where you're coming from, Sal, because if you're going all in, like that's not quite going all in. They're kind of doing both, though, right? Like they're trying to win the Super Bowl now, and they're protecting themselves in case, I guess, Stafford's back blows out and they were left without a guy for 27.
And I think they must really, really like Ty Simpson more than most, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I have no idea, but that was the only thing. Other than that, I like what both sides did here, to be honest with you. You can't, of course, you wake up in Cleveland, you're like, I can't believe we traded Myles Garrett. Here we go, factory of sadness. Yeah, all that is right. But just think about like where they are, what they need to do, what their timeline is. They got a stud pass rusher coming back. They got another first-round pick coming back. And they probably are of the realization that, okay, we probably don't have the team this year to compete. We'll see if we have a quarterback. But you know what? Now they have more ammo to get a quarterback next year if they don't find one this year in Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson has, some resurgence.
I love it from Cleveland's side. For the Rams, Sal, how do you look at them in general? Like the way they do business, like this is just a continuation of it. They have made one first-round pick until Simpson in a decade, and it was Jared Verse. So they kind of did a good job there, I think, of replenishing their roster because they had a lot of draft picks, even though they didn't have a first-round pick. But they still, you see it, like they still have the bleep them picks mentality right there under the surface, and they were just waiting for the first chance to do it.
Yeah, this is what they've done, right? For the Rams, this is how kind of they've operated, and it's worked out for them. They had a dip a few years ago. They win the Super Bowl, and then the next year, I think it's the year the Bills open there, right, on the Thursday night.
Yep.
That's the year they don't have, and they had a lot of offensive line issues that year. They had quarterback issues, and then they were right back at it. I mean, what franchises fans wouldn't sign up for the last 6-7 years of what the Rams have done? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Why wouldn't you?
Right, like you wouldn't.
Of course you would.
You wouldn't care about that 5-win dip because
No.
it's been surrounded by everything that you've wanted.
Yeah, so what was the Super Bowl? Was the COVID year? Was that the?
It was
21.
21.
It was the year after. It was 21.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
So, I just think that if you're a fan of the LA Rams, I think you love how your team is operating, and we think there's going to be a price to pay that's a lot heftier than a 1-5-12 season coming up at some point. But it hasn't happened yet. When is that point? I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. But here we are again, and they are favorites to. I saw people yesterday, like national media and analysts going, I really like the Rams, but now I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Like that's that's why they're doing it. They're doing this clearly just to win the Super Bowl.
Sure,
And it's funny too because they were the Super Bowl favorite yesterday before they made the Garrett trade.
Any idea that something's going to come for them, that only happens once Stafford is done. And if he retires and Ty Simpson isn't good, I don't think that is, it all caught up with the Rams. That's just like your quarterback's not good anymore, right? Like the idea is a franchise quarterback is supposed to and probably does prevent things from ever catching up to you. So the catching up.
I think, though, Jeremy, it wouldn't be because of that. I think if it catches up to them, it's because they don't have the money now to pay Puka Nacua and a bunch of other guys that might be coming up, and they just have to kind of reset, right? And that's fine. Again, if they go out there and win, even if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I don't know. Are we going to say it wasn't worth it? Like, only one team gets to win. Anything can happen. You can have injuries, right? I think what they're doing here, though, is they probably are setting themselves up to have some sort of setback coming up soon because they don't have necessarily the ammunition nor necessarily the means to keep together a younger roster, and they just shipped off one of their better young players too, by the way.
They have drafted like 10 players a year. Like they lead the league in number of picks over the last couple of years. So I don't know. I don't think it's ever coming for them. I think what they have is a model that mean, we're on a decade now of not picking in the first round and still adding a lot of picks and adding good players. So I don't know. We'll
it might
see.
depend on what you think of Ty Simpson too, right?
That's right. That's right.
He'll just, to your point a minute ago.
That's to me, like if Simpson flames out, then it comes for them. And if Simpson's good, then they'll be fine.
Even that, like, isn't there part of their model, I think, and this has not been needed as much with Stafford because I think everyone just knows Stafford's like a really good quarterback. But like if Simpson sits for a year or two and Sean McVay is his head coach, you know what I mean? Like when you're attached to McVay at the hip, I don't know what the odds would be of him flame. What does a flame out look like for them down the road with him? Like that coach, I feel like would know what he's doing and would get the most out of him. So I don't know. I love the way that they do it. Is it similar? Is there a comparison here to maybe the way Vegas does it in hockey?
Yeah. Yes.
Like they just kind of like, hey, there's a star player available. Like we're just going to go do that. We're always going to be the most aggressive team. And both of those franchises now are going for a decade. And maybe you're right, Sal. Eventually they pay for it. But it's funny that both those teams have been doing it for a decade and it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, take the emotion out of it, right? Just go do what you got to do,
right?
And that's how they operate.
Do you think so? I think a lot of the reaction that I had and many others about the Bills on that deal yesterday, not being the team that gets Myles Garrett, is that they didn't have a Jared Verse to get that deal done. If that's what Cleveland was looking for, my wonder sells more if the Bills had a player like a Jared Verse. Do you think if Garrett's on the table, that's the type of move Bean would be that aggressive with to say, yeah, I got a guy who was Defensive Rookie of the Year a year ago. I'm willing to move off of that to get a Garrett. I just wonder what the Bills would have done if they were faced with a similar type of deal, if they had a Verse-level player.
I don't know. It's a good question, and I do think the timeline matters here different, which is, now I know Josh Allen's 30, but, he assuming has, several more years left here at a high level where Stafford does not. And I do think that Brandon Beane thinks about that, right? Like, hey, I still have Josh Allen. I don't need to trade my really young defensive player of the year. And I'm not saying this is the right way to think, right? Because, hey, go get him. You get Myles Garrett. Take that swing. What is the window here? And, flags fly forever. You don't have one yet. Go get one. So I don't know if he would. It's a good question. They don't have a Jared Verse point. I think this is two parts, which is that is correct. And I agree with you, Joe, which is they don't have a young stud pass rusher to include. The question I have is, though, did Cleveland have to have that position as a young, really good player? Meaning, what about a Max Hairston, right? I'm just throwing his name out there, and I believe, with apologies to Brad and Brad, and I think Brad said this same one, because I was thinking it as Brad said it yesterday. I wasn't trying to steal his point, but he said this, and I give him credit. He said the same thing I was thinking yesterday. Does it have to be a young pass rusher? What if you have a guy like, well, we have a really young, good corner who we like, Max Hairston? Like, did it have to be for a pass rusher? And I'm not comparing, because I know Jared Verse has had accolades, and Max Hairston had some injuries last year, but he looks like he's going to be good. It doesn't have to be him. The question I have is, if they went down that road, if it had to be a pass rusher, no, the Bills did not have that. Could it have been anybody else? And if they could have been, do they have anybody else, which I'm not sure.
Yeah, like the question might be, like, if the Bills did talk to the Browns about Garrett at any point before he was traded, and it was very clear Cleveland wanted a great young player in the deal, like, what Bills player would they have talked about? And I guess Hairston could have been that answer. You're right, though. Like, with his injuries, like, I'm not saying that's why Cleveland
he doesn't rise to the level of Verse.
Who would have been the guy that really fit in the deal, though?
No, that's exactly right. So, I mean, then you're talking about, well, if they needed a player back, I'm not really sure you could go down that road, and you go back to the draft, they drafted a wide receiver. Could you talk about Keon Coleman? Sure, but at this point, like, that's not going to be a guy that's going to move the needle too much, I think, on a potential trade. I think to me, there were probably quite a few hurdles for the Bills to do something like that.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. Sal, we also saw New England finally get the deal done that had been reported for months, really. A.J. Brown to the Patriots for a 2028 first-round pick. So, I don't know if you're someone that thinks like that's kind of like a 2027 second, but either way, New England finishes their offseason with their biggest move of the offseason, acquiring A.J. Brown.
They have a really pretty good, I'd say, and pretty deep now wide receiver group, I think. When you look at, A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs, I mean, Mac Hollins did a nice job for them last year. Demario Douglas, I like as a player. Like, I guess maybe not super deep, but I just think they're so much better than last year on paper. And I know they don't have Stephon Diggs anymore, but I just think that they're giving their young quarterback who's really good a much better group to have surrounding him to throw to. I think they still have some questions on the offensive line. We'll see what that looks like. Will Campbell, especially at left tackle, right? There's a couple other questions. They weren't the best team at running the football last year. They had some moments. We know that against the Bills, they had a couple big runs. But I just think overall, when you have a guy like Drake May in his third year, he's on a rookie contract. This is what you do. You go get him some weapons. Mm-hmm. It's no different, I think, than what the Bills did to get Stephon Diggs for Josh Allen, to be honest with you. And it was the same year, right? Because Josh was going into his third year. It's the exact same thing that they basically did. You go out and get him a stud receiver that he can throw to. He's a third-year quarterback in a rookie contract. We really like him. Let's balance this thing out. And I mean, why wouldn't you do that through the Patriots? It's a great move for them.
Yeah. Sell OTAs today. Media again. So what's the schedule for this week, and who are we going to hear from today?
Yeah, Pete Carmichael Jr. is going to talk today. So he'll be he's the offensive coordinator, and obviously that's in title. He's not. Well, he is the offensive coordinator, but I mean, he's not calling the plays. That's Joe Brady. But you know, we asked Joe Brady what does an offensive coordinator do when he's not calling the plays, and his answer, this is months ago, and his answer was be ready to call plays. So you know, Pete Carmichael Jr. has been down that road. He's done that before, here and there in certain capacities in the NFL, and he comes again working with and alongside Sean Payton, and they're very much of the same mind. So we'll hear from him today. What some of his philosophies are. And gets any questions about the offense and what he thinks about certain players, and then they'll be on the practice field during the 12 p.m. hour, about close to 1 p.m. again, I think 12:30, and then we'll hear from some players afterwards. That's the only media available OTA this week, and then it's mandatory minicamp next week, guys. This is it. This is the last chance for us in the media to see who's at voluntary camp. I mean, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if we were missing the same guys or even more guys because they got 1 week left before they actually have to be in town and do it for real and, be here for sure or else they get fined.
Just as a refresher, who are the guys that really haven't been there? Are we still the same names as the first couple
James
days?
Cook, haven't seen him. Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown. Now, some of these guys, I don't think I've seen James, but Deion and Spencer, I've seen them kind of around, though, just not practicing. Mm-hmm. Cole Bishop, saw him in the field house. He hasn't been practicing. Last week did not see Greg Rousseau or Bradley Chubb, but saw them 2 weeks ago though. So just been some Ed Oliver, same thing. Have seen him, and he's kind of talked about, hey, just want to stay healthy, and he's around. He actually did some media last week, but he just hasn't been on the field. So it's been some guys in that capacity. Those guys in that capacity, and some in, I should say, different capacities than others.
The guy I might be interested to hear from, I don't know when we would hear from him next, maybe even Carmichael would have something on this, Sal, was when DJ Moore mentioned recently about there being some growing pains adjusting to the Bills' offensive scheme, and that kind of gave light to it's not the same offense, perfectly the same as what Joe Brady ran for him in Carolina. It's OTAs, so no one would be, I think, that panicked about him saying growing pains this early in the spring. But I thought that was interesting to hear from him that, like, I think maybe when you think of play callers or offensive coaches in the league, you might just think they run the same thing all the time. And Moore kind of gave light to, like, Brady's running a ton of different stuff than what he ran 5 years ago.
Yeah, and this happens when you go from coach to coach and franchise to franchise. You learn different things. You pick things up from other people. And, I mean, we know, too, because this has been said, like Joe Brady didn't have Josh Allen when he's in Carolina. He comes here, he's with Josh Allen. You want to run and do things that Josh Allen likes, right? I mean, like, why wouldn't you do that? So, DJ Moore, so Joe Brady's going to change a lot of things because he has a quarterback who is great and he likes to run certain things and concepts. So he's going to change a lot of what he did the last time he was in Carolina when DJ Moore was there. So it's kind of, you have to kind of retrain your brain and have a new way of thinking. So, for a guy like DJ Moore, he's got to learn pretty much an entirely new offense. Most of the guys in the offense don't, but the guys in the defense do, the Bills. And we heard from Jim Leonard last week on that, and they're throwing a lot at them right now and, seeing what they can and can't do before they get to training camp and figuring all that out.
So Capaccio on the Worcester Hotline.
Quickly, Sal, state of the Bills. You're doing defensive line or defensive tackle. What'd you label it as?
I called him defensive line, and after
Defensive line.
talking with Jim Leonard last week, I think that's where I'm just going to settle.
Yeah.
It's no problem if anybody wants to say defensive tackle. You want to call Ed Oliver defensive tackle. You want to call Landon Jackson defensive tackle. That's fine. To me, they are, because their hands are down. They might be the last guy on the line when they line up in a certain set. But I call them defensive tackles, and I call the outside guys edge rushers. They're traditional defensive ends. But there's a lot. There's a lot of guys here, and I just am really curious to see how a lot of this sorts out over the next, a couple of months, basically, before we get to, during training camp and before we get to the season. But, I mean, one of the biggest things, guys, is just there's been so many injuries up front that you have to see how guys are coming back, and then throw in the mix of course, playing different roles and different positions. I mean, I think Landon Jackson's the guy you look at the most of a different position and different role. He was a stand-up defensive end. Now he's got his hand down. He's gained 20, 25 pounds. He's expected to hold the point of attack inside the line, not outside, but inside the tackle, the 4-eye technique. You have TJ Sanders, who did play some defensive end last year due to injury, but he's going to have his hand down, of course. Deion Walker is. Ed Oliver is going to be a guy that, he's going to be on the end of the line with his hand down as what might look like a defensive end, but he's a defensive tackle. He has to penetrate. What did they say last week? I love what Leonard said. A little more freedom for Ed Oliver, right? Ed Oliver, he's going to, be able to kind of maybe he's going to expect him to be impactful from that respect, be able to kind of do some of the things he wants to do. And then you have Dwayne Carter coming off an Achilles injury last year, missed the entire season. Landon Jackson missed almost the entire season. TJ Sanders missed 5 games last year. Ed Oliver missed all but 3 games last year. You think about the injuries up front, it's kind of wild to think about this group right now and coming into this year and what to try to expect from the new positions and trying to stay healthy.
Sal Capaccio. Thank you, Sal.
You got it, guys.
All right. We'll be listening, of course, updates from One Bills Drive today. OTA's back to it. Mandatory minicamp to follow. And off we go to training camp, which will be 7 weeks away, that neighborhood. 8 weeks.
Do we have the date on it?
Not yet. We have preseason games. We don't have the date on that. Also, if anybody wants to do this for us, we need a correspondent in Orchard Park that drives by every morning. Somebody call us when the Buffaloes, when they're going up.
Sometime in June.
It's supposed to be I thought it was like the first week in June. Soon. We need a Buffalo.
Is this something you could just go watch them install? I think, because they're not hiding it.
No,
they're
can't.
too big.
They can't. So you'll be able to just, there they are. They're going up.
Yeah.
Larry in South Florida. Hey, Larry.
Hey, guys. Good morning. So when I was out walking the dog, I was on hold, and the A.J. Brown wide receiver train went by, and I just kind of waved and cried a little. So my question is, New England, we don't have the resources to go get Myles Garrett. I get that one. I mean, that's a dream, but it just wasn't going to happen. But we had the resources for A.J. Brown. But now we got to deal with him twice a year. Now, A.J. Brown's a bully, and he's been a bully since he was in Tennessee. And when Philly got him, I was like, oh, my goodness, this is like a jackpot. And I love the guy, and I think he's going to make May even better. Why can't Bean make the pull? And I think, Joe, you nailed it on the head earlier, and I'll get to that point. But why can't we give up a 2028 first round and then offer a 4th round in 2027, or do the same deal and throw in Keon Coleman? I'll do that deal in a heartbeat. But you're right, Joe. Maybe he's trigger happy, and he's a little nervous. He's a little gun shy, like you said. Not trigger happy. I wish he was trigger happy, but he's gun shy. And when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, like we had Jim Kelly, and he was great. But we had Hall of Fame supporting cast around Jim Kelly. We don't have that with Josh Allen. And your job, Brandon Bean, is to go find players like that to make Josh even better. Imagine if we had what Joe Burrow has. Now, that guy and that team terrifies me still. Even last year, they terrified me if they would have made a run, because I don't think we can stay with those receivers. And if you get an A.J. Brown and a DJ Moore, and then you have Shakir in the slot, we're almost as good as any team out there. And we have Josh Allen. So Bean, I think, has failed by not putting the supporting cast around Allen. And if he is gun shy, then it's time to say bye-bye, Brandon, and bring someone in that's going to take us to the promised land, because Kelly got us there 4 times. But Kelly had Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas. He had James Lofton. It was incredible, the team we had, and we still didn't win one. But we don't have that right now. But we have the best quarterback we'll ever see.
Yeah. Thanks, Larry. I mean, listen, they're not going to clean house. The GM is here for a while, and he might deliver them to the promised land. I feel like we've been waiting for a big kind of blue chip move, and however they get to it, whether it's they draft 7 to 10 players and Davison Igbinosun becomes an incredibly good corner, and all right, you've got another one there, or TJ Parker, or TJ Sanders, or Deion Walker. Like, they need somebody to hit and make huge plays for them, or the scheme to be better, or DJ Moore too. You obviously are not unable to win because you didn't make the A.J. Brown trade or the DJ Moore, or the Myles Garrett trade. So I don't want to go too far on all this, but I do think that there's certainly a consistent. How come it doesn't feel like they're going a little bigger year in and year out? And I also feel like there's a trap here. Like, if we look at the last 2 seasons, like Schopp and Bulldog were talking about this yesterday. Like, they go get DJ Moore and they get Skylar Bell. Mm-hmm. Right? They add to their receiver room. It's better than it's been in 3 years for sure. And they asked the question, like, did the everybody eats thing, did that work? Because they were still good? Because you got to be careful. If they're always winning 12 games because of Josh Allen, then really anything that they do is good.
Right.
Anything that they do did work. Well, that did work. Yes and no. It's tough. The goal is not 12 wins. The goal is the Super Bowl. And if I can make this point about this exact Garrett trade, and this is the tough spot that any GM lives in. Ready? What is a success for the Rams in the Garrett trade?
Winning the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What is a success for the Browns in the Garrett trade? 3 really good players and you're 11-6.
Right. Not being the not being the doormat of the league in 3 years.
The Browns have to be one of the top 10 teams in the league once, twice.
Yeah.
Have 3 good players come out of it, and it's, well, they won that trade. Well, the Rams are going to be in that spot the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
So these trades where you're evaluating, can both teams win? Yes, both teams can win. It's the O'Reilly trade. They won the Stanley Cup. You got good players. 3 years later, you became a good team with some of the pieces of this trade. But it's not lost on me, and I hope it's not lost on anybody else, that for the Rams to win it is an exceedingly higher bar. Mm-hmm. And they're not afraid of that bar to shoot for that. So, I don't know. It's a roundabout way to say there are lots of ways for the Bills to do this, and they don't have to go for the biggest, wildest, sexiest, all-in trade that they can. Mm-hmm. But I do think it is fair to point out they consistently in the last couple of years look like they are settling for second place on a lot of these kind of moves. That's Bradley Chubb instead of Trey Hendrickson, right? Mm-hmm. That's on and on.
Is it Moore instead of Brown? Is that second place?
Sure. Yeah, Larry's asking why not A.J. Brown. Isn't that because they don't want a receiver that they think might be a problem? I mean, the team that ultimately got A.J. Brown was very much like the Bills and their head coach getting DJ Moore. It's a coach that knows the player. I feel comfortable. This is a guy I like. Right. Nobody else went out and got A.J. Brown. There were some teams trying to link him, some reports trying to link him to the Chiefs, link him to the Niners, link him to the Rams, link him here. And he goes to the team that the coach knew him. There's a level of comfort there for the coach.
Right.
So, they got a 2028 first. They had to wait 2 years to get their first. Waddle got traded. Could you have gotten Waddle? Maybe. You decided you didn't want to.
That one could have been division. Brown could have been. Brown could have been. They didn't like the knee.
Sure.
And that was the report about the Rams. I mean, I tend to think that has been a little bit overstated, his concerns with the knees, because he's been managing that knee injury since he entered the league.
Yeah. It's always
like he's been doing it for 7 years, and it hasn't been a problem yet.
It's one of those. It's always something. There's always a reason it doesn't get across the line, and whatever. Like if you draft well enough, and you've got Josh Allen, and this offense is looking ready-made, just win the Super Bowl anyway. You know. Like what we do, this is the time of year where we think, could they have done better? Will they do better? And then in September, they'll roll out and have a really tough start. And if they start winning games, then, we're off and running. They play the Rams week 5.
And it is it might sound unfair, but like when they have this quarterback, if you believe he's the best quarterback in the league and one of the best quarterbacks of this generation, then what's your floor and what's your ceiling? Your floor with this guy feels like it's 10, 11 wins every single year. Like, it's almost impossible to do worse than that. And we don't often talk about what the true ceiling is of Josh Allen because everyone just wants one. You just want to get one.
Right. Well, the ceiling is like 4.
But the ceiling with Josh Allen was a dynasty. Yeah, 4, 5. That was the ceiling. Like, if there was a team around him, like what the caller mentions, the Kelly team, if you had 5, 6 Hall of Famers around Josh Allen for 5 to 10 years, the Bills would win 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah. And the Bills are making
that's their ceiling.
They're making their bet that part of the reason that didn't happen is because the coach, right? And the new coach can be a part of getting better results. And we'll find out. Like that very well may prove to be true. 803-0550, 1-888-552-550. Evan Lazar in an hour. Your phone calls on A.J. Brown, on the Myles Garrett trade. Jeremy and Joe on WGR. True or false? The boldest thing that this organization has done since signing Von Miller is firing the coach, and that wasn't the GM's call. What's the biggest actual move he's made since the Von Miller deal? It's DJ Moore?
Yes.
That
has to be the answer.
It has to be the answer.
Has to be the answer.
And DJ Moore is a nice idea. We'll see how it works. But I think it is a fair question/criticism of the GM to point out that it's always half measures and never all the way. Mm-hmm. There's always 1 foot still on the dock and 1 foot on the boat, and never fully in the boat. And that's every trade they make. That's Amari Cooper, not Devontae Adams. Couldn't get Devontae Adams. It's Amari Cooper. Okay, maybe he wanted to go to the Jets. You settle for the second guy. It's Jalen Waddle at the deadline. Okay, that's going to fall apart. That's not going to happen. It's Trey Hendrickson signs with the Ravens. It's the Ravens are the ones that make the trade for Max Crosby and back out. How about the Ravens being the team that closed the deal, even though they backed out of Max Crosby, twice in one offseason? At the position you always want to close the deal on. This guy, Garrett, would have been available around the draft. I don't know if you could put together a package because you don't have Jared Verse, but they are a little bit gun-shy on a lot of stuff. Are they not?
I think it's a combination of gun-shy, and I don't think they quite put themselves in a position to make these types of deals. Like that kind of goes back to
the salary cap
and all the
inflated salary cap
and the middle of the road contracts that really eat up all the room. Like the Bills had the combination yesterday at the time of the Garrett trade of two things being true: having being one of the teams with the fewest cap space in the NFL, and also not having a player of Jared Verse's caliber outside of Josh Allen. So, like, how do those two things be true at the same time? It's, well, I have a bunch of mid players that I've decided, I'm going to keep them all. I'm going to keep all of them, pretty much. Like, very few do they let walk. David Edwards, and do I have to go back years to Tremaine Edmonds before that? Like, guys that are just okay or pretty good, I pay all of them. Then, guess what? The next time a whale becomes available, you're not really in position to do it. I think yesterday was less of that and more of you just don't have a player versus caliber. But what about when Micah Parsons became available? They didn't have the cap space to do it then. And that's because I had to pay Terrell Bernard and I had to pay everybody. I just go down the list.
Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer.
And to me, like, I don't know what's going to be different. Like, the next time, like, will they act any different? Quickly, Sal, state of the Bills. You're doing defensive line or defensive tackle? What'd you label it as?
I called him defensive line, and after talking with Jim Leonard last week, I think that's where I'm just going to settle.
Yeah.
It's no problem if anybody wants to say defensive tackle. You want to call Ed Oliver a defensive tackle. You want to call Landon Jackson defensive tackle. That's fine. To me, they are because their hands are down. They might be the last guy on the line when they line up in a certain set. But I call them defensive tackles, and I call the outside guys edge rushers. They're traditional defensive ends. But there's a lot. There's a lot of guys here, and I just am really curious to see how a lot of this sorts out over the next, a couple of months, basically, before we get to, during training camp and before we get to the season. But, I mean, one of the biggest things, guys, is just there's been so many injuries up front that you have to see how guys are coming back and then throw in the mix of course, playing different roles in different positions. I mean, I think Landon Jackson's the guy you look at the most of a different position and different role. He was a stand-up defensive end. Now he's got his hand down. He's gained 20, 25 pounds. He's expected to hold the point of attack inside the line, not outside, but inside the tackle, the 4-eye technique. You have TJ Sanders, who did play some defensive end last year due to injury, but he's going to have his hand down, of course. Deion Walker is. Ed Oliver is going to be a guy that, he's going to be on the end of the line with his hand down as what might look like a defensive end, but he's a defensive tackle. Be asked to penetrate. What did they say last week? I love what Leonard said. A little more freedom for Ed Oliver, right? Ed Oliver, he's going to, be able to kind of maybe he's going to expect him to be impactful from that respect, be able to kind of do some of the things he wants to do. And then you have Dwayne Carter coming off an Achilles injury last year, missed the entire season. Landon Jackson missed almost the entire season. TJ Sanders missed 5 games last year. Ed Oliver missed all but 3 games last year. You think about the injuries up front, it's kind of wild to think about this group right now and coming into this year and what to try to expect from the new positions and trying to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Busy day in the NFL yesterday. The Bills, they signed wide receiver Mac Delana. They've released cornerback Darryl Porter Jr. But around the league, the Patriots, they acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown from the Eagles in exchange for a 28 first and a 2027 fifth. The Rams, they acquired defensive end Myles Garrett from the Browns in exchange for edge rusher Jared Verse, a 2027 first, a 28 second, and a 29 third. And the Giants, they signed wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, and Braxton Berrios. And ESPN's Adam Schefter reported yesterday Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to join CBS to become a sports analyst. In the NHL, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Puck drop set for 8 o'clock between Vegas and Carolina. That'll be right here on WGR with pregame starting at 7:30. NBA Finals, Game 1 tomorrow night between the Spurs and the Knicks, 8:30 tip. Around Major League Baseball, yesterday, the Mets fell to the Mariners 3-2. Tonight, the Red Sox host the Orioles at 6:45. The Yankees play the Guardians at 7:05, and the Blue Jays play the Braves at 7:15. Also, Serena Williams headed back to professional tennis after previously stepping away in 2022. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Okay, your stat of the day brought to you by Doug Clausen here, CBS Sports, that the Rams are the first team in NFL history to have the reigning NFL MVP and Defensive Player of the Year on their roster. It's never happened before. Hard to do.
Wow.
Right,
because,
speaking of
those two guys winning in the same year on the same team would be almost impossible.
I had a second one, too, that was kind of like, this isn't a good note, but it's hard to do, and that's that Alexander Barkov is the second guy to win captain a Stanley Cup team and a World Championships team.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do because most of the time if you're captaining Stanley Cup teams, your team's good, you're not going to the World Championships.
Correct.
So with that said, can you get the other one?
Just to do it ever?
Yes. Captain a Stanley Cup team and a team that wins the World Championship. The IHF, the one that happens like this time of year. Who else won a cup and then his team stopped being good and he captained one over there?
I'm going to guess it's another European.
It's not.
It's not. Because usually the European countries win more often. Is it a Canadian?
It is.
Is it Jonathan Toews?
It's Crosby.
No, that was
It's right there for you.
pretty gettable.
Yep.
Yeah.
803-0550, our number, 1-888-550-2550. It's your stat of the day there on the Rams.
The World Championships.
Quick.
What an odd tournament. It is so weird how little we care about who wins that, like whether Team USA wins it.
And how much they do.
And then, Finland. Like, did you see Helenius up on stage they had a parade when they returned to Helsinki? And that dude, he's lifting the cup in front of it looked like the Arsenal parade. I'm like, look at these people. They got a fighter jet, escort back on their plane, and they land, and it's like the biggest thing that's ever happened there. And that's probably great for him, right? Like, it probably means more to Helenius than, I don't want to say it did to Tage, but it means more to Helenius than it would have to,
Sure.
the
it
average
means more
American
to
player.
Helen
or
uses
Canadian
countrymen than it does to Tage's countrymen.
Yeah, I think so. So that goal is, look at how they celebrate. He ripped the helmet off like they had just won the cup.
Quick thing on Helenius here. Patrick Bacon of hockeystats.com.
Yep.
They do a lot of fancy graphs. And one thing that they do is they chart a player's ascension, descension, your draft year. What did you do before your draft year? What did you do in your draft year? Draft year +1, draft year +2. And as part of that, they do this charting of like how likely you are to become an NHLer, how likely you are to become a star. And on Helenius here, 99% chance of becoming an NHLer. Okay, not a surprise. Chance of becoming a star.
Yeah. A star.
A star. What do you think the chance of becoming a star is right now on Helenius for this?
35%.
57%. Based on what he's done
like that
at every stage of his career,
Yep.
what he just did in Rochester, at the World Championships, like all that stuff kind of comes into play. And, yeah.
Is he about to be their number one center long term? That star.
Let's also, as a team, let's all, as a city, we don't have to fight about how to say his name. I still think it's Helenius.
Helenius.
But there are people that hang on the Y a little longer, and they naturally just make it Helenius. Helenius. Let's just call him Consta.
Consta's cooler.
Consta's
anyway.
It's like Kobe. Consta.
Yeah.
Why would we call him anything else?
It's awesome name.
He's European. We could even treat it like soccer, where you put his name on the back of the jersey as Consta. The Sabres just put Consta there.
Yeah.
Let's just call him Consta.
Is there a nickname potential here also?
Consta the Monster.
Bang.
He was ready to go on that one. That has been sitting up there.
It has.
He's just waiting for the opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And there, he heard me setting that up like, oh, here we go.
Green light.
All right, we each
light.
We each get a run at this. I've tried this one on. I'll say it again. Constant hell on you.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty
And
good.
if you want to make it like the cheat, use.
Use.
Constant hell on use.
Consta the Monster is my favorite so far.
The monster's good.
Monster Helenius. The Finn. You got to get the Finn in there. The Finnish, like the Finnish Flash. The Finn.
Yeah, right.
The Finn. A Finn de Monde. The Finn.
What about the Helsinki?
Oh, here we go. The Helsinki Hellion.
The Helsinki Hound.
Oh,
The Helsinki Hound.
Although I don't know if he's. I should look. Is he from Helsinki?
What? You don't even know if he's from Helsinki?
I don't want to just assume everyone from Finland is from Helsinki. He's not from Helsinki.
Oh, well, then he's not going to be the
that doesn't
Helsinki
work.
Hound.
No, that doesn't
That
work.
doesn't make a whole bunch of sense.
nope, that won't work.
He's from. Oh, here you go. Yeah. Why don't you look up the city, the town he's from, and go ahead and tell me how to pronounce that.
I just had it up and I
It's
closed
got.
it.
It's got some. It's YLO 2 dots JA 2 dots RVI.
I don't even want to take an attempt at it.
Yolyarvi.
Yolyarvi. Yolyarvi.
Who knows?
Something is silent in there. There's no way YLO there isn't a silent letter.
I had a buddy that on my New Mexico team that was from this town.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember how he pronounced it?
I don't remember how he said it.
Hockey hotbed.
No. Well, that doesn't.
He didn't speak great English either, so it wasn't like we were getting a whole lot of info out of him.
We should Any Alex Tuck stuff? I really want to. I want to run our sense of Tuck segment for people that don't know it with the graphic. We got to get a sense of Tuck in.
No Tuck. I had juicy rumors maybe on other Sabre related things.
Matthew Barzal. I don't know if you want anything to do with that. That's the Islanders would explore that.
That's interesting.
I like the player a lot.
Yeah,
I like that guy. I've always liked that guy.
Who else did I see?
Felt like he was in jail in New York.
Yesterday, there was a lot about Jason Robertson in Dallas and how Frank Zaravelli said he wants about $14 million per year. There was it Pegnota? There was another reporter who was talking about how the Stars, like, they're going to have a lot of work to do if they want to fit that in. Like, they are fine past this season, but they are in trouble right now, and they can't fit everybody in. And if Robertson wants $14 million a year, either they can't sign him or somebody is getting dumped. Mm-hmm. So that's a star player that has come up in trade rumors before. Darren Dreger said yesterday, talking about Yarmo, and he was trying to swing for a grand slam at the trade deadline, talking about revisiting with St. Louis involving Robert Thomas. I think he probably will.
Is this
just
Robert
that he'll
Thomas?
Revisit.
Is Robert Thomas the next A.J. Brown, where like it's just definitely going to happen for months, and they're going to get around to making it happen?
Or maybe Garrett. Garrett, we talked about 1,000 times like last year. Like maybe this will be Robert Thomas, where we talk about him 1,000 times. He's not traded, and the next year he's traded. Right. I don't know. Like, right? It's almost becoming exhausting or stale for him to be the guy.
I was on with Chad on Expected Buffalo last night, and we had that conversation about, like, okay, pick a guy other than Rob Thomas, because we're both sick of Rob Thomas at this point. And so we came up, some other names.
Mason McTavish.
He had a bit of a weird year.
Okay. I know his name is out there a little bit in Anaheim. Mason
he signed
McTavish.
a big deal and then kind of tanked this year.
Nico Hischier.
Hischier is the guy I said last night. I think Hischier, to me, makes sense as he's a good first-line center if he needs to be a first-line center. And he can do that. And I think you've got then the option of Tage first-line center, Nico first-line center, like Tage on Nico's wing. What does that look like? And it gives you the opportunity of, if Consta or Östlund develop and turn into a guy that's like, all right, this guy should be our first-line center, then you can do that. And now you've got, I think Hischier fits on, to me, a championship team. Hischier is a 2C that is a stud. And you've got a 1C that's like a real beast for you. And to me, I like the idea of having him sort of able to play around in there. I like the player a lot. He's got history with Lindy. I feel like he just fits the vibe of Östlund and Hellenius for some reason. Like, I feel like he'd be a good shepherd for those guys coming up. So I like that idea a lot.
Dave Pegnota yesterday also said that on Jordan Kyrou in St. Louis, I just think he's waiting. I think he's known for a while that a trade is likely on the horizon.
Yeah, that feels like that's happening too.
Somewhere.
I would be surprised if one of Thomas or Kyrou aren't dealt. Maybe
that's about it for rumors yesterday.
One other quick note. The Sabres tweeted out yesterday they are down to 500 full season ticket memberships available. I don't know the number they set aside for half seasons and mini packs, but in terms of full seasons, 500 left.
It's really good.
What a year.
Lee says Finnish finesse for Hellenius. The Finnish finesse. He's not really a finesse. I don't think he's going to be a finesse player. I think he's going to be like a bulldog.
Who on the team actually has a nickname? We always think about we're going to give these guys nicknames, and nobody has any.
The Rat King is becoming a thing for Benson.
Yeah, the Rat King.
Do you mean a nickname, though, where like that's what they're referred to first?
An actual nickname.
TNT?
Like Sid the Kid. TNT's fine. Ish. Okay.
TNT works. That might be it. Malin Goat.
Yes, the Malin Goat. I forgot.
The Malin Goat.
The Malin Goat.
Yeah, that might be pretty much it.
803-0550. We'll get more into Myles Garrett and A.J. Brown, and also talk with Evan Lazar on the Patriots, who have their big move of the offseason complete. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
Quickly, Sal, state of the Bills. You're doing defensive line or defensive tackle? What'd you label it as?
I called him defensive line, and after talking with Jim Leonard last week, I think that's where I'm just going to settle.
Yeah.
It's no problem if anybody wants to say defensive tackle. You want to call Ed Oliver a defensive tackle. You want to call Landon Jackson defensive tackle. That's fine. To me, they are because their hands are down. They might be the last guy on the line when they line up in a certain set. But I call them defensive tackles, and I call the outside guys edge rushers. They're traditional defensive ends. But there's a lot. There's a lot of guys here, and I just am really curious to see
Jeremy, what here for Russell
how a
Street
lot of
and
this
Trupp
sorts
Arm?
out over the next, a couple of months, basically, before we get to, during training camp and before we get to the season. But, I mean, one of the biggest things, guys, is just there's been so many injuries up front that you have to see how guys are coming back and then throw in the mix of course, playing different roles in different positions. I mean, I think Landon Jackson's the guy you look at the most of a different position and different role. He was a stand-up defensive end. Now he's got his hand down. He's gained 20, 25 pounds. He's expected to hold the point of attack inside the line, not outside, but inside the tackle, the 4-eye technique. You have TJ Sanders, who did play some defensive end last year due to injury, but he's going to have his hand down, of course. Deion Walker is. Ed Oliver is going to be a guy that, he's going to be on the end of the line with his hand down as what might look like a defensive end, but he's a defensive tackle. He has to penetrate. What did they say last week? I love what Leonard said. A little more freedom for Ed Oliver, right? Ed Oliver, he's going to, be able to kind of maybe he's going to expect him to be impactful from that respect, be able to kind of do some of the things he wants to do. And then you have Dwayne Carter coming off an Achilles injury last year, missed the entire season. Landon Jackson missed almost the entire season. TJ Sanders missed 5 games last year. Ed Oliver missed all but 3 games last year. You think about the injuries up front, it's kind of wild to think about this group right now and coming into this year and what to try to expect from the new positions and trying to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. One trade fully expected for months goes through, and one trade not even rumored for a moment, bang, big one, blockbuster. Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse and a number of picks, a first, a second, and a third. So 803-0550. How do you feel about it? The very, very popular answer is that the Bills do not have – you want to start with Myles Garrett instead of A.J. Brown? Let's do that.
Yeah.
The Bills do not have Jared Verse.
No.
End of trade talks. The Rams, I read a story, were hoping to make it all picks. They wanted it to be all picks for Garrett, and Cleveland wouldn't budge. They wanted Verse, which is a big price. Jared Verse is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Awesome. I feel like if you're a Bills fan that watches the league, you might know. I mean, the Rams play a lot in prime time. He's a first-round draft pick. He was a defensive rookie of the year. He is awesome. And if I'm a Browns fan, I think I'm over the moon about what they got back in the trade, because it's not just a wheelbarrow full of draft picks. It's a stud. You got a stud.
Yeah. He is. He's not also. This could be tested on how good do you know ball. Verse has 12 sacks.
Yeah.
Don't judge him on the sack number.
No.
There are pressure numbers. There's what he does in run defense. This dude is a beast overall.
He the way that he plays is the way that I hope that any, you name it, single Bills defender plays in this defense.
Yeah.
Give me anybody on the front 7 playing like Jared Verse, whether that's Michael Hoyt, or just he plays like a guy with his hair on fire, blows things up, gets pressure, gets double teams. He is an absolute stud. more of your calls on A.J. Brown, Myles Garrett. Quick thought for the break. Think about this, gentlemen, if you will. Patrick Moran of Talking Buffalo asked the question on Twitter yesterday, what's the worst Buffalo sports trade in history? And I didn't have, snap right away an answer.
The worst one
What's
in
the
history?
worst Buffalo sports trade in history? Think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
Get on the other side with some A.J. Brown and Myles Garrett talk. And, of course, your Buffalo Bills. We're back at OTAs. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
One thing that I am curious about the Bills and their pursuit of this, or what their willingness would have been, because the Rams, I just have so much respect for the Rams, the guts that they have on deals, and just it really is bleep them picks. I mean, versus the only first-round pick they've made in 10 years, right? Like, that's also incredible, isn't it, that they're 1 for 1? Like, we've made one first-round pick in a decade, and he was awesome, and he was great.
He was also
and he allowed us to make this trade.
He was also 11th overall.
Yeah, he wasn't like top 5.
Right, which I've got a point to make about that a little bit later, too, because there's a funny thing that, well, in a couple of years we'll see where the trend falls. But
right. But the Rams' aggressiveness, like, yes, this guy is young and he's great, and he's only going into year 3. And, yeah, we don't care.
Oh, sorry, he was 19th overall, Jared Verse.
19th, even better. So, like, we're going to trade that guy. We're going to latch a first-round pick onto him. I mean, really, he's the defensive version of the Goff-Stafford trade, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got a guy we know is good, and, yeah, we're going to attach first-round picks to it, and we're going to go upgrade. We're going to go get a guy that's even better at his position than he is. And that's where you can't know, because the Bills they've not got themselves to a position where they have a Jared Verse to have this tested. But I would be very curious to know, if they had a Jared Verse, would they have been willing to make a trade like this? Because can't you just see the Bills having a Jared Verse and just thinking, yeah, what do we need to do that for? This guy's great. He's young, and
100%.
And we're going to pay him, and like, we drafted and develop, and like, honestly, I think if the Bills had Jared Verse, I don't think they would have made this trade.
I agree with that. And there's a case that they shouldn't, right? I don't think it has to be the biggest blockbuster for the Rams that makes sense. The Rams just spent a first-round pick on a quarterback, which they didn't have to do. They could have just drafted, Reuben Bain, had a young rookie defensive end to throw out there on that nasty offensive line, and not traded a whole carton of picks and Jared Verse. So I don't think it has to be that the Rams fleeced anybody or that this is a guarantee they should have done it. But yes, I'm glad you brought exactly that point up, because if the Bills had a great young player, would they walk away from him for the best player at the position? And I don't know that the answer to that is yes.
A busy day yesterday in the NFL. Around the league, the Patriots, they acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown from the Eagles in exchange for a 2028 first-round pick and this year's fifth-round pick. The Rams acquired Myles Garrett from the Browns in exchange for Jared Verse, a 27 first, a 28 second, and a 29 third. The Giants, they signed wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, and Braxton Berrios. And ESPN's Adam Schefter reported yesterday that Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to become CBS sports analyst. The Bills, they signed wide receiver Mac DeLana, and they've released cornerback Darryl Porter Jr. In the NHL, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Puck drop set for 8 between Vegas and Carolina. That'll be right here on WGR with pregame starting at 7:30. NBA Finals Game 1 tomorrow night between the Spurs and Knicks with an 8:30 tip. And around Major League Baseball, yesterday, the Mets fell to the Mariners 3-2. Tonight, the Red Sox host the Orioles at 6:45. The Yankees play the Guardians at 7:05, and the Blue Jays play the Braves at 7:15. Also, Serena Williams headed back to professional tennis after previously stepping away in 2022. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I knew it wasn't going to be a Waddle haul. I told you that. And I don't think it has to do with the reporting that happened on the player. I think it has everything to do with the way the player played in crunch time last season and everything we saw on the sidelines and everything we heard off the field. You didn't need reporters to report on what was happening. You could see it with your own two eyes, and that's why the haul looks like it looks. And so I think for the Eagles fans, a lot of them are thinking long national nightmare is over. And I agree, pending a physical, which is now a lot more than a footnote, and the fact that the Rams allegedly balked at A.J. Brown's physical. So this might not be the last we hear about it, but if it is the beginning of the honeymoon stage in New England.
Chris Long on A.J. Brown and the fit in New England. That honeymoon stage, that's worth it in the NFL. Because it's not an actual marriage. You're just trying to win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. If you win one in 2 years, that's a win. The honeymoon stage. Antonio Brown had one in Tampa.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl.
They did. Tom Brady insisted on bringing in Antonio Brown.
And then he ripped his shirt off and retired on the field.
It went weird, yeah, right. Anyway.
It got very strange.
A.J. Brown. The Eagles, we'll see if they can maintain their offense without him. It's been tough with him.
Yeah, and
they hate their offense every year. They hate their team every year.
I mean, they still have a receiving core that I like.
Yeah, Devonta Smith.
Their starting three to begin the year are going to be Devonta Smith, Mekhi Lemon, and Dontavian Wicks. And then Hollywood Brown and Elijah Moore behind that. Like, they're fine. Like, are they as good as they were yesterday? No,
but
but
they're fine.
They're totally fine.
Meanwhile, Dan Orlovsky called the Patriots receiver room the deepest in the AFC. Deepest receiver room in the AFC.
Deepest. You want to say best? Because it's not the best.
The best is Cincinnati?
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Is it the deepest? I mean, what does that mean? I'm now trying to figure out if they have the best.
Just means
fourth receiver in the league.
I guess he would say top to bottom that it's the best is what he would believe.
All right, like A.J. Brown, Romeo Dobbs, Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas, Mac Hollins.
Kyle Williams, Mac Hollins.
I don't know. Like I think they're deep enough. They're fine. They're good. But I don't want to go nuts about their depth. Like I think Demario Douglas and Mac Hollins as your depth receivers are like probably not that different than a lot of the depth receivers on a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to give them extra credit about their depth. I think they're good. I think they're a very good receiving core. I think they are definitely better than they were last year.
We are always talking receiver. It's a position that gets moved a lot. It's a position that is, of course, really important. It's why these teams are trading for it. It's why the Bills traded for DJ Moore. It's why the Patriots traded for A.J. Brown, why the Broncos traded for Jalen Waddle. And, we kind of got into this earlier. This is a point about going for it in Josh's window and Josh's prime. By the way, good morning, Jeremy and Joe. Owen's here, Joe Callie's here. I do have trivia for you. We'll get some phone calls in. And Evan Lazar on the Patriots coming up at 8:30. But who was the Bills' best outside receiver of the last 2 years? Because Shakir's here, he's in the slot pretty much exclusively, and he can play. He's good. That's good. Tight ends, we know they're. Who's the Bills' best outside receiver of the last 2 years? There's two-pronged point I'm going to make at the end of this?
The answer to that question is probably
your candidates are Mac Hollins, Keon,
Amari Cooper,
MVS, Amari Cooper,
Brandon Cooks,
Josh Palmer, Tyrell Shavers, Chase Claypool. Those are your candidates.
Yeah.
Who's the best one?
I mean, it's like I almost want to say Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Just because he had a couple of big games. The Rams game, right, was one of them.
Yep.
I mean, but what would most people say? Would most people say Mac Hollins?
I might want to say, I don't know.
I might say Cooper, but I mean, it's like you could really argue for a lot of these guys.
Right. So like, there's a two-prong point. One of the points is anytime you try to make the case that what they did without that position worked, you don't entertain what would have happened if they were better. Right? Well, they got to the AFC Championship game with that group 2 years ago, so that worked. All right. The good side of this is how good does DJ Moore have to be the best of that group?
Oh, he barely has to clear. There's a super low bar.
Right. He has to be better than Amari Cooper? Or
honestly, if he had – last year was a bad year for him in Chicago. Bad by his standards, right? Like, worst year of his career.
Mm-hmm.
If he had that same year, isn't that the best outside receiver season they've had since Diggs?
Since Diggs, yeah.
50 catches, 700 yards, give or take, and 6 touchdowns. That clears Mac Hollins, Mari Cooper, Keon Coleman,
everybody.
All of them. Yeah. And that's not even that good of a season.
Yeah, I mean...
700 yards and 6 touchdowns for him, given what you gave up, is not good. That's not a good result. But it would be the best, to your point, it would be the best season a guy at that position's had.
Right, so you kind of have to be careful. Anything you say worked because the Bills were good, like there were higher ceilings with better ideas. And maybe DJ Moore is part of what's going to unlock that. Defensively, too. Like, defensively, who knows? Maybe Bradley Chubb brings a lot to this defense. And maybe C.J. Gardner-Johnson brings a lot. Anyway, 803-0550, our number if you want to give us a call on A.J. Brown to the Patriots and Myles Garrett to the Rams. The thing I tweeted this morning, sometimes I want to make a point, and it's not crushing the Bills for not making this move. I think the universe is aligned behind the Bills could not have made this Myles Garrett trade because they don't have Jared Verse.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Verse is worth more than a first-round pick. So the price for Garrett was Verse and a first and a second and a third. And no, Gregory Rousseau was not going to get that done, and neither was Ed Oliver. You were not making this trade. You did not have young stud edge rusher on a rookie deal that's cost-controlled and 25 years old, on the edge of the top 10 edge rushers, like whatever. He's very good. He's an explosive player. So I don't think they could have made this deal. But a point I kind of got to today was Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, and Max Crosby were all moved. Crosby did not move because the deal got backed out of. But the same team made 2 of those deals. Baltimore makes Hendrickson and Crosby. And like if we go back 2 years ago, their relentless pursuit of defensive ends. If you would traveled back in time to 2 years ago, from today to 2 years ago, and said, hey, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, and Max Crosby are all going to be available and move, I'd say, well, which one of the Bills going to get? I would have been convinced
they would get one.
They would be getting one because they chased this position, and it's a premium position. Somewhere along the way, they would have found their way to this. And if they didn't, you would maybe say, oh, they must have found their way to another stud. And, we'll see what Bradley Chubb and Greg Rousseau and the group as a whole can bring. But, man, I really would have thought they would have got one.
I would have, too. I mean, they've acted that way at the position. They have.
The GM kind of openly spoke about it, about Garrett and whatever. I don't think it's a miss to not make this deal because, again, they couldn't have. If you want to say, why don't they have a Jared Verse level player? Well, that's a conversation.
Listen, to be frank, they have not drafted as well as the Rams have.
They haven't drafted as well as the Rams have.
The Rams have had more picks, but they also haven't had the first. But you can go back and find, they had as many great players in one draft class as the Bills have had in multiple. Like that 23 draft where the Rams had 1 million picks. Like they picked, was it 12 times they picked? That's not even the verse year. The verse year is the year after. But in that year, they pick Byron Young in the 3rd round, Kobe Turner in the 3rd round, Puka Nacua in the 5th round.
That's an incredible draft, yeah.
Right. And then the next year, they followed up with that verse pick in round 1, which was their only first-round pick for like a decade. Like the Rams, they did a job. They had that 5-win year, didn't have their first, piled up picks, and they hit on 4 or 5 of them. And I think that is why, like, they didn't need the cap space yesterday. Maybe they did to get McDuffie, right? Earlier in the offseason. Like, they didn't need the cap space to get Garrett yesterday, but one excuse the Bills use a lot for why they can't make moves like this when the guys cost more is Allen, right? Allen's cap hit and dealing with a giant quarterback contract. The Rams this year with Stafford have the number 1 cap hit in the league at quarterback. The previous 2 seasons, I believe they were number 2. Like they have been dealing with a giant quarterback cap hit, one that the Bills have not even been dealing with. And why have they been able to do it? Why do they sit here today not at the bottom of the league in cap space? Why do they have cap space? Why was the Garrett trade like nothing to them on the books? Because they hit on a lot of picks. They have cheap labor. They haven't had to pay Puka yet, or Cameron Kitchens yet, or the other guys just mentioned, Young and Turner, and I mean, they have a lot of young guys that they haven't had to pay. And I don't know if they will. Like, that's a good test of them. Like, the Rams, if it were the Bills, I know what they would do. The Bills would just pay them all, wouldn't they? They'd pay Verse. They'd pay, They'd pay Turner. They'd pay Young. They'd pay Kitchens. They'd pay Puka. Maybe they wouldn't pay Puka because there's other stuff going on with him right now. But they would just sign all these guys. And I'll be curious to see what the Rams do going forward because the Rams are the team that wants to have, I think, they want to have the flexibility to go get the next Myles Garrett. They already have this guy. But the next time the best player available gets out on the trade market, I think the Rams want to always be equipped to go get him. And I feel like the Bills are very rarely equipped to go get that guy. They can't even get off the starting mat because of it. And the Rams, like when Stafford retires, or when it really doesn't matter, I guess, his cap hit, again, is at the top of the league, and they still have the ability to go get these guys.
803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. A.J. Brown, Patriots.
Neither guy traded yesterday costs a lot. I think Garrett was an $8 million cap hit, and Brown was $7 for this season.
He's the kind of,
money was not the thing in the way for the Bills yesterday, even though I think in a lot of these other cases it has been.
Right. You see the numbers on A.J. Brown's cap number as compared to DJ Moore's cap number for the next 3 years?
No, but it's smaller, isn't it?
Yes.
Is it by a lot?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, Moore's number this year is not big, but going forward I think it is bigger than Brown's. But who knows if it's even fake money. Right. Sean in Long Island. Hey, Sean.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Just full of fire in the belly today. I mean, I couldn't be more down on Bean. I'm not again, I don't think I was expecting either of these guys to come to the Bills yesterday. I just think it's frustration seeing it actually play out. I think we essentially just kind of conceded the division with not, just letting Brown get over there. I mean, that team is loaded. I don't understand how the Bills are still. Are they even favored to win the division still? Patriots are miles better.
They are definitely.
Yes. I don't know. How is that possible? I've got no idea.
They got Josh Allen. I mean, they're
right. That's the answer.
Yeah,
I know, but it's like I mean, that's something. I think it's running its course here. I mean, as we could see towards the very end last year of him having to be Superman yet again.
Allen at 30. You think it's running its course?
I think it's the beginning of that. I do. I mean, he had to do a lot last year. He shouldered everything yet again, and to a point where maybe it was his own doing too, and him running around and kind of doing unnecessary things. But that's from the pressure of not necessarily having the guys around him that should kind of be on this team because of Bean's misses over the years. It's just Bean has really shown that he is just ill-equipped to take advantage of having number 17 on his team. And we've only been this successful, I feel like, really because of 17 and probably because of the culture that, to a degree, McDermott had built over the years.
I mean, yeah, thanks, Sean.
Yep.
By the way, the Bills
they have built a great run game. I don't think that they are just Josh Allen and in a trench coat. Like I think there's whatever. Like they've got other things. We are consistently holding a pretty high standard of can you get another top 30 player in the NFL, right? Like can you get somebody like Trey Hendrickson, who's again not even Myles Garrett, but he's a pass rush specialist and somebody that can get the job done. They this offseason, I think they tried to attack it with volume. When they traded out of the first round, they traded out of the first round the last couple of years 2 out of 3 times because they're looking to add more young rookie talent, and they should do that. I don't know. I don't want to get caught too much in any prisoner of the moment. You say it's run its course. Yesterday, the afternoon show took a call that the Patriots have peaked. Like it's year 1 of Drake May being good. Why would I think the Patriots have peaked? I also don't think they're unassailable. Had the Bills played them because Brandon Cooks holds on to that ball or it gets ruled a catch, I think the Bills beat New England, and we're not thinking about how the Patriots are some favorite that's off and running. I think these two teams are going to be about equals.
It is funny.
Isn't the most likely scenario that these teams are equal right now? How big is the gap?
Yes.
How big is the gap? Pick any division and they're 1-2. And tell me,
I will tell you
where the gap would be smaller. Like Rams, Seahawks. Aren't they equals?
Those are equal. Those teams played multiple times and they were just
equals.
as good as each other.
Right. And the Bills and Patriots played twice and both games were close. One was a tight game, one was a shootout.
To your point about is there another division where that isn't true? Technically, even though it's not a big favorite, the Bills are the biggest division favorite in the league.
All right, there you go.
But it's because every division is close. The Bills are minus 125 to win the division. If you know anything about betting odds, that's not a strong favorite. But there's only 2. How about this? There are only 2 division favorites right now that are minus money. It's just the Bills and Ravens.
And
that's it.
I was going to say, you know what that basically is?
That every division's got 2 good teams.
Right. And the divisions that have 3 good teams, the odds are longer.
That's why.
Because if you're trying to forecast the NFC North, I got 4 teams. I got 3 teams at least.
And the NFC West, you have 3 because of San Francisco.
Right.
That's a good point too.
So that's really what that means. But
because New England is plus 125, Bills are minus 125. I don't want to go nuts. The Bills are way better than New England. They are favored, and I think I think they should be favored. But should the gap be enormous? No. I mean, part of the New England, whether they peaked too, is did they peak by result? Maybe. They might never have a season as good as they just did because their schedule was so easy and because
they got
their
lucky.
Playoff run was so easy.
Right, but they get a better team and get knocked out by the Bills.
I think it is totally likely even New England will be better this season than they were last year, and they might not win the division and lose in the first or second round. And I'll still want to say at the end of it, yeah, they were better than the Super Bowl team the year before. So that's the complicating part of New England is considering all of the context of what was the season they just had. They were not a complete team. But I also want to look at them right now and say it's not like they're a super team. I think the Bills have a ton of holes, and I think the only unit I really trust outside of Allen right now is the run game. That's it. But in New England, like Sal brought it up earlier, I have no idea how good their line's going to be.
Yeah.
May was getting sacked relentlessly, especially in the postseason last year. I have no idea if they're going to have a run game, and I have no idea how good their defense is going to be next year. I think the only thing I know, similar to the Bills, I have one thing I know outside of Allen. I feel like I know the Bills are going to have a top-level run game. I know that's going to be true. With New England, I think I know they're going to have the pass catchers for Drake May. They're going to have that. But what else am I sure about with them? Is there another thing I'm sure they're going to be really good at?
I think
it's an advantage over the Bills?
I think their defense will be pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, I think New England has every bit as good a defense as the Bills, and who finishes first?
Don't they kind of have this pass rusher thing though? The Bills do, where who's the guy you're really
they've needed one, and they did not get one.
Right, that's what I mean.
Harold Landry, that's who they got.
I should give them credit on one more thing. Their secondary is great.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
their secondary is great. Yeah, which the Bills is too. You could argue.
You got one more thought experiment here.
Sure.
Which of the wide receivers gets the bigger quarterback upgrade? Moore or Brown? And hold on a second. Pause for a moment. Caleb Williams 2026 to Josh Allen 2026. or Jalen Hurts 2026 to Drake May 2026. What I'm getting at is, like, everyone is ready to point that DJ Moore is about to play the best quarterback of his career. No dispute.
Oh, easily.
No dispute. Caleb Williams, this year's version of Caleb Williams was probably going to be the best quarterback DJ Moore had ever played with. Right? Like, he looks like he's on the trajectory.
Yep.
Versus Hurts, who
it's going the wrong direction.
I think it's going the wrong direction.
Yeah, it is.
So, whatever. Josh, better than May, but I do think the guy that might get the bump, like, A.J. Brown's getting a big bump from Jalen Hurts to Drake May. And to this point, I just saw another stat here. This one came from Adam Schefter. The last 4 wide receivers, or it's not the last 4, but 4 wide receivers in their first season with Josh McDaniels. We'll skip Wes Welker, unless you want Wes Welker. But
long time ago.
Yeah. Here's the point. In 2007, Randy Moss, in his first season with Josh McDaniels, 1493 and 23 touchdowns. Okay, that's Randy Moss.
Yep.
Brandon Marshall in his first year with Josh McDaniels, 1120 and 10 touchdowns. Devontae Adams in his first season with Josh McDaniels, 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns. And now you get A.J. Brown, first year with Josh McDaniels. We could talk a lot about the upgrade at quarterback, but the real upgrade that A.J. Brown is probably getting is
offense.
in play caller.
Yeah.
They hate everybody in Philadelphia. They fire coordinators every single year.
Yeah, hasn't Hurts had a different one every year?
They hate everything about their offense. There's no continuity. He
Yeah.
jumps into a Josh McDaniels offense that is usually pretty good. And here's, a couple examples over 15 years. Like, it's only 3 receivers. They don't all end up great. But here are 3 guys that were great and went there and popped right away. So I think it's going to be a real battle for the division. I'm not here to downplay New England. I'm not here to kill the Bills' chances. I think the teams are probably most likely to be pretty close to equal.
And their schedules aren't that different either, right?
No, in fact, you might even think the first place schedule that New England has is easier than the second place schedule the Bills have.
Right, because what are the differences? They get to play
Jacksonville and you play Houston. Maybe a push, maybe. They play Seattle, you play the Rams.
I'd rather play Seattle, but it's pretty darn close.
They play Pittsburgh, you play Baltimore.
And that's a disadvantage.
Yes. So, like,
for the Bills.
The first to second place schedule, there will be no schedule discrepancy between the two teams. I mean, those 3 we laid out are the only 3 differences, and that's pretty darn close.
The one thing, though, that you could say, I guess, even though, again, I think New England will be better, the Bills have proven tough schedule. We're fine.
Yeah, they can beat teams.
Playoff team, division. We have a tough schedule. We're going to be fine.
Their record over teams with a 500 record or better, like the Bills own the regular season. They beat everybody.
The Patriots, let's see it. Let's see you do what you just did going through a schedule that we've had to go through. And I think they are better equipped to do that now because of what they've done this offseason. Vera Tucker maybe is a name to mention here too, in addition to Brown. But even though the Bills' schedule isn't really any easier, like I'm looking at New England right now. Do you know the 4 games they open with? At Seattle, home Pittsburgh, at Jacksonville, at Buffalo. 3 road games against 3 playoff teams from last year is tough out of the gates. So, I mean, they could even get off to a really slow start, but I think they're right to be as close as they are in, like, the odds for the division.
Yeah, I think so. 803-0550 and 1-888-552-550. Evan Lazar on the Patriots when we return. Their side of this A.J. Brown deal that finally got done and the rest of their offseason. Join us, Jeremy and Joe, here on WGR.
For more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfel, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
give Belknap a ring.
quickly, Sal, state of the Bills. You're doing defensive line or defensive tackle. What'd you label it as?
I called him defensive line, and after talking with Jim Leonard last week, I think that's where I'm just going to settle.
Yeah.
It's no problem if anybody wants to say defensive tackle. You want to call Ed Oliver a defensive tackle. You want to call Landon Jackson defensive tackle. That's fine. To me, they are, because their hands are down. They might be the last guy on the line when they line up in a certain set. But I call them defensive tackles, and I call the outside guys edge rushers. They're traditional defensive ends. But there's a lot. There's a lot of guys here, and I just am really curious to see how a lot of this sorts out over the next, a couple of months, basically, before we get to, during training camp and before we get to the season. But, I mean, one of the biggest things, guys, is just there's been so many injuries up front that you have to see how guys are coming back, and then throw in the mix of course, playing different roles in different positions. I mean, I think Landon Jackson's the guy you look at the most of a different position and different role. He was a stand-up defensive end. Now he's got his hand down. He's gained 20, 25 pounds. He's expected to hold the point of attack inside the line, not outside, but inside the tackle, the 4-eye technique. You have TJ Sanders, who did play some defensive end last year due to injury, but he's going to have his hand down, of course. Deion Walker is. Ed Oliver is going to be a guy that, he's going to be on the end of the line with his hand down as what might look like a defensive end, but he's a defensive tackle. He has to penetrate. What did they say last week? I love what Leonard said. A little more freedom for Ed Oliver, right? Ed Oliver, he's going to, be able to kind of maybe he's going to expect him to be impactful from that respect, be able to kind of do some of the things he wants to do. And then you have Dwayne Carter coming off an Achilles injury last year, missed the entire season. Landon Jackson missed almost the entire season. TJ Sanders missed 5 games last year. Ed Oliver missed all but 3 games last year. You think about the injuries up front, it's kind of wild to think about this group right now and coming into this year and what to try to expect from the new positions and trying to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
One trade fully expected for months goes through, and one trade not even rumored for a moment, bang. Big one, blockbuster. Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse and a number of picks, a first, a second, and a third. So 803-0550. How do you feel about it? The very, very popular answer is that the Bills do not have – you want to start with Myles Garrett instead of A.J. Brown? Let's do that.
Yeah.
The Bills do not have Jared Verse.
No.
End of trade talks. The Rams, I read a story, were hoping to make it all picks. They wanted it to be all picks for Garrett, and Cleveland wouldn't budge. They wanted Verse, which is a big price. Jared Verse is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Awesome. I feel like if you're a Bills fan that watches the league, you might know. I mean, the Rams play a lot in prime time. He's a first-round draft pick. He was a defensive rookie of the year. He is awesome. And if I'm a Browns fan, I think I'm over the moon about what they got back in the trade, because it's not just a wheelbarrow full of draft picks. It's a stud. You got a stud.
Yeah. He is. He's not also – this could be tested on how good do you know ball. Verse has 12 sacks.
Yeah.
Don't judge him on the sack number.
No.
There are pressure numbers. There's what he does in run defense. This dude is a beast overall.
He the way that he plays is the way that I hope that any, you name it, single Bills defender plays in this defense.
Yeah.
Give me anybody on the front seven playing like Jared Verse, whether that's Michael Hoyt or just he plays like a guy with his hair.
Busy day in the NFL. Yesterday, the Patriots acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown from the Eagles for a 2028 first and a 2027 fifth. The Rams, they got Myles Garrett from the Browns in exchange for Jared Verse, a 2027 first, a 2028 second, and a 2029 third-round pick. And the Giants, they signed wide receivers Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, and Braxton Berrios. And ESPN's Adam Schefter reported yesterday that Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to join CBS and become a sports analyst. The Bills, they signed wide receiver Mac Delana, and they've released cornerback Darryl Porter Jr. In the NHL, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Puck drop set for 8 o'clock between Vegas and Carolina. That'll be right here on WGR with pregame starting at 7:30. The NBA Final, Game 1, tomorrow night between the Spurs and the Knicks with an 8:30 tip. Around Major League Baseball, yesterday, the Mets fell to the Mariners 3-2. Tonight, the Red Sox, they host the Orioles at 6:45. The Yankees play the Guardians at 7:05, and the Blue Jays play the Braves at 7:15. Also, Serena Williams headed back to professional tennis after previously stepping away in 2022. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
This is about Drake May's ability to throw the deep ball, Drake May's ability to create in the pocket and give his wide receivers second chance opportunities. This is a match made in heaven for the New England Patriots. And I think the biggest thing is this. Mike Vrabel knows A.J. Brown's personality. He knows a guy who a Super Bowl wasn't enough because he didn't perform at the level he wanted to. 2 years of great play or all-pro play weren't enough. He couldn't understand why he didn't do that every single time he stepped on the field in Philadelphia. They're going to have to get him the ball. They're going to have to keep him happy. And if they do that, this team, the sky could be the limit.
Ryan Clark on the A.J. Brown trade. Jeremy and Joe, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Beautiful day outside. We're talking A.J. Brown trade. We're talking Myles Garrett trade as well. Joining us on the Western Hotline is Evan Lazar of Patriots.com. Evan, good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe. We kind of knew at some point we'd probably talk to you about the A.J. Brown trade. We just didn't know it would be the second biggest trade of the day when it happened. Nope. Is Evan there?
Maybe he doesn't agree.
Evan's not there. We'll try Evan.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
There he is.
There you go.
What's up, Evan?
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My fault. Yeah, false start. No, we got upstaged a little bit there yesterday, huh? I mean, that was quite the day. Like, maybe we're seeing June 1st is now a new trade deadline-esque kind of day for the NFL. Maybe this is just a one-off, but with all the contract stuff, with all the different deadlines and things like that, maybe we have a new big trade day in the league, which would be fun.
Yeah. A lot of that, too, of course, was that we all, I think, pretty much knew or thought we knew that Brown was getting traded for, 2 months, and the Garrett deal just seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think any of us saw that coming, especially I was just shocked with that Jared Verse was in the trade, too, right? I mean, that's a really good young player, top 10, top 15 edge rusher in his own right. So, obviously, Myles Garrett on a different level, but for the Browns to get a picks back and Jared Verse, that's a really, really good haul for them.
Evan Lazar with us on the Patriots. So the fit with Brown in New England, I guess, how slam dunk of an idea was it for you that there's a knee injury, right, to be thinking about a little bit? The contract doesn't appear to be that bad for the level of player. And it cost a first-round pick. I guess that's where I want to start. Were you surprised that it did end up costing a first-round pick to get him?
I guess not, because that's been the reporting on it for a couple months now, that it was going to be a 2028 first-round pick. So when you think about it, you usually say that that's like a second-round pick in this year's upcoming draft in 27, right? So I think the compensation was not surprising. I think it's pretty fair, but I don't think that either side kind of wins the trade in that respect. But I would just say that, there's a couple different things. One, obviously, the Patriots had a huge need for a number one wide receiver after releasing Stephon Diggs. Romeo Doubs, a nice piece, but if he's your top guy in the offense, then you don't feel like you're quite there yet. And then the other thing was, obviously, A.J. Brown's familiarity with Mike Vrabel and Mike Vrabel's familiarity with A.J. Brown. So those two have a great relationship. They text even before this trade was being made. They had a personal relationship. So I think that there's that element of it as well, that they're getting a player that the coach and the coaching staff is extremely familiar with and they feel comfortable with.
Does this represent any sort of, belief that this is a win now window. I know I'm saying that for a team that went to the Super Bowl, but like, what was New England's own evaluation of the team they had last year up against how far they went? And did they really meet? Because here we kind of have the idea that, like, yes, they went far, but maybe that's a little of an overachievement based on the roster they had.
Certainly, yeah. I think that they felt that way too. And some of these moves that they've made this offseason, I feel like jive with that, even though this does feel like more of a short-term move. When you really think about it, they didn't keep a lot of the guys that were on that team last year. They move on from Stephon Diggs. They move on from Kayvon Chason. They move on from guys, all over the roster. Jelani Tavai, Anthony Jennings, Garrett Bradbury at center. They upgraded at left guard with Elijah Vera-Tucker, they hope. So I think that they didn't really stand pat on the team. They easily could have just ran it back from last year and said we won 14 games and made the Super Bowl. But I do think that they really tried to go out and make upgrades to this team and not fall in love with the guys that got them to the Super Bowl last year. So it's kind of I would guess they're kind of trying to like split it in half, right? Where they know that they still have maybe a little bit more to go to be a true Super Bowl team and not just a team that made the Super Bowl in a year that it fell their way. But I think that they also realize that they have Drake May on a rookie contract for 2 to 3 more years, depending on when that 5th-year option and extension kick in for him. And right now he's in year 3 coming off a season where he was the runner-up for the MVP. So it's the perfect time, and that's why I can't really get mad at them for giving up the first-round pick, because this is a time where you go for it. This is exactly when you push your chips in the middle and try to go and get out there and win a championship.
How much of the Brown move was about the playoffs? Like they were in the regular season, New England, one of the most efficient passing offenses in the league. But I mean, the numbers certainly went down come postseason time. Like was the Brown move and the Dobbs move, I guess, on top of it, like 2 of your biggest moves of the offseason at a point of strength for the team in the regular season. Was any of it about, hey, we didn't really throw the ball the way we wanted to in the postseason?
Yeah, I think so. And just overall, just like I said, not really falling in love with some of the guys that had success last year. One guy that this has a direct impact on who hasn't been with the team during the off-season program and OTAs is Kayshon Boutte, who had a nice season for them last year, 550 yards, 6 touchdowns, had a big catch in the playoffs against the Texans that kind of put that game out of reach in the Patriots' favor in the playoffs. But Kayshon Boutte is like a 500, 550, 40 catch kind of guy, right? Like that's been his stat line for the last 2 years. A.J. Brown slides right into Kayshon Boutte's role as the primary outside guy, ex-receiver, but he had 1,000 yards last year with the Eagles and has had 1,000 for 4 straight years. So that's a clear upgrade over a player that they like, but I think they feel like they could do better. And in the playoffs, what we did see also was teams, crowding the middle of the field, clamping down on Stephon Diggs, clamping down on Hunter Henry, and they didn't necessarily have somebody on the outside that was a big-time difference maker. So you still have that inside chain-moving presence with a guy like Dobbs. Henry's still here at tight end. And then now, hopefully, on the outside, you have A.J. Brown, who, if they do decide to have single coverage with him on the outside, his numbers are off the charts against man-to-man, against single coverage. If they do put that safety over the top of Brown, then now that opens up the middle of the field. So I think once they got to the playoffs, it was kind of like take Diggs out of the passing game, focus a little bit of attention on Hunter Henry, and what else do they really have? And now maybe they have a little bit more balance there in the passing game.
Evan Lazar from Patriots.com with us. What's left to wonder about New England? Like the line, would that be next? Like what they need to improve on? Not that they didn't add there as well this offseason, but I guess what's the biggest question right now about them going into the season?
Yeah, I think with the offensive line, you're just hoping for internal growth if you're a Patriots fan, from Will Campbell at left tackle. Jared Wilson, who played left guard for them last year, is moving inside further to center, and they have Vera-Tucker now at left guard. He's a natural center. Wilson was at Georgia when they drafted him. So they're hoping that the position switch for Wilson back to his natural position, another year in the weight room and development for Will Campbell in an NFL program, those players get better, and they need that to happen, right? Like if those guys look the way that they did, especially Campbell, in the playoffs, that carries over into their second season, then maybe we start to talk about their first-round pick this year and Caleb Lomu and where he fits in to this entire puzzle. The other spots, though, I would point to are just defense, and especially defensive depth. Edge rusher is probably the biggest one right now. They added Draymond Jones in the offseason, but he replaces Chase on, so that's kind of a one-for-one swap there. Do they have enough pass rush off the edge to impact the quarterback? They Milton Williams inside, Christian Barmore inside, but do they have a guy that can get double-digit sacks? Is Harold Landry healthy? Does Gabe Akis, their second-round pick, hit? Those are some of the question marks at that position, and then just depth, at linebacker and safety. Like if a guy like Kevin Byard, who never gets hurt, but let's say he does get hurt, or Robert Spillane gets hurt at linebacker, I don't know if you feel great about what's behind those guys, but when you look at their, roster, the 1 through 22 on both sides of the ball right now, it looks pretty good on paper, but like any team, they're going to have questions about injuries and depth.
Is there more for TreVeyon Henderson coming, by the way? Like, he didn't really play in the playoffs, right? After finishing, third in the Rookie of the Year voting?
Yeah, I think that they're hoping for that. We're all hoping for that. But, the question is last year he had some trouble with vision, decision-making, processing, that sort of stuff, like mental aspects of the game. And, is that going to come for him? At Ohio State in college, you know how the college game works. It's wide open, right? Like there's not a whole lot of like reading between the tackles sometimes that goes on, especially when you run behind an offensive line like they usually have at Ohio State. So that element of it exists. The platoon element exists too. I think he was better at Ohio State when Quinshon Judkins was there as sort of a 1-2 punch. The Patriots obviously have him next to Ramondre Stevenson, so they can do sort of the same thing. So maybe the volume won't be there necessarily for him to totally take off. But the one comp that I come back to, if you want to project the ceiling of what he could potentially become, is, there was a huge jump in Jahmyr Gibbs' play from year 1 to year 2 in Detroit. They had about the same amount of production their rookie seasons, and then Jahmyr Gibbs obviously takes the year 2 leap and becomes one of the best running backs in football. I don't know if TreVeyon Henderson has quite that ceiling, but you're hoping that maybe he can get closer to that than the player he was down the stretch last year. So, look, it's all of a sudden the Patriots have a lot of skill players, right? A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, but especially behind those guys, Mac Hollins, Kyle Williams, is Kayshon Boutte going to be on this team? The two running backs, Hunter Henry and Eli Raridan, who they just drafted in the third round at tight end. They have a lot of things to work with if you're Josh McDaniels.
Evan Lazar, Patriots.com on the Western Hotline. Evan, thanks very much.
No problem, guys. Anytime.
When we get back, what one former Bills quarterback is saying about former Patriot Tom Brady's comments about practice squatters and their soft, weak minds. That's next.
Quickly, Sal, state of the Bills. You're doing defensive line or defensive tackle? What'd you label it as?
I called him defensive line, and after talking with Jim Leonard last week, I think that's where I'm just going to settle.
Yeah.
It's no problem if anybody wants to say defensive tackle. You want to call Ed Oliver a defensive tackle. You want to call Landon Jackson defensive tackle. That's fine. To me, they are, because their hands are down. They might be the last guy on the line when they line up in a certain set. But I call them defensive tackles, and I call the outside guys edge rushers. They're traditional defensive ends. But there's a lot. There's a lot of guys here, and I just am really curious to see how a lot of this sorts out over the next, a couple of months, basically, before we get to, during training camp and before we get to the season. But, I mean, one of the biggest things, guys, is just there's been so many injuries up front that you have to see how guys are coming back, and then throw in the mix of course, playing different roles and different positions. I mean, I think Landon Jackson's the guy you look at the most of a different position and different role. He was a stand-up defensive end. Now he's got his hand down. He's gained 20, 25 pounds. He's expected to hold the point of attack inside the line, not outside, but inside the tackle, the 4-eye technique. You have TJ Sanders, who did play some defensive end last year due to injury, but he's going to have his hand down, of course. Deion Walker is. Ed Oliver is going to be a guy that he's going to be on the end of the line with his hand down as what might look like a defensive end, but he's a defensive tackle. He has to penetrate. What did they say last week? I love what Leonard said. A little more freedom for Ed Oliver, right? Ed Oliver, he's going to, be able to kind of maybe he's going to expect him to be impactful from that respect, be able to kind of do some of the things he wants to do. And then you have Dwayne Carter coming off an Achilles injury last year, missed the entire season. Landon Jackson missed almost the entire season. TJ Sanders missed 5 games last year. Ed Oliver missed all but 3 games last year. You think about the injuries up front, it's kind of wild to think about this group right now and coming into this year and what to try to expect from the new positions and trying to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Trivia.
Let's hear it. I'm in.
Ripped from the headlines. According to Next Gen Stats, let me put that at the end of the sentence.
Okay.
I have the top 10 wide receivers against man coverage since 2022, according to Next Gen Stats. So the last 3 years of football, who are the 10 best receivers against man coverage? Who puts up the most? Top 10 on the board. Fire away.
All right. A.J. Brown has to be on this list.
Number 1, A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson.
Number 4.
Jamar Chase.
Number 5.
JSN.
No.
Not. Oh wow.
Puka.
Number 8.
Okay.
JSN's breakout came a little too late.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say
2022.
probably. CD Lamb.
Number 2.
George Pickens.
Number 3.
Nice.
Okay.
They have 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yes, you now have
That's
1, 2, 3,
pretty
4,
nice.
5, 6. No, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8.
And here's Dallas playing games with the contract.
Right.
Okay, Drake London.
No.
Isn't he a great man coverage guy?
He might be. He doesn't have the most top 10 receiving yards in the last 3 years.
All right.
He also
Might not face it all the time.
Not just that, but he, again, like, might be too young. Is he in his
Right.
3rd year?
Maybe.
Yeah. What about Amon
4th year?
St. Brown?
Number 6.
How about
Let's see.
Chris Olave?
No. Olave, by the way, due for a contract soon. He's talking about that, saying he thinks it'll get done soon.
Nico Collins.
No.
Last 3 years is the question?
Since 2022. So 22,
Mike
3,
Evans?
4 years.
4 years. No.
Okay.
Malik Neighbors.
No. Too
Terry
young.
McLaurin.
Too
Yeah,
young and
too
hurt.
young,
No.
yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Devontae Smith.
No. 2 of these
Tyreek
names
Hill?
have been mentioned on the show today.
Diggs?
10th.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, duh.
Of course.
Well, maybe not duh. He missed half a year, but yeah.
Right.
Who else did we mention today on the show? We mentioned
Definitely Gabe Davis.
DJ Moore.
not Gabe Davis.
7th for Mr. Parker.
we go.
DJ Moore, 7th.
Yep.
All right.
You're only missing 1.
Devontae Adams.
No. But he is your new favorite receiver.
Mine.
Yep.
Garrett Wilson.
Yes.
Because I just
He just traded for him in Dynasty.
like during the
And
show.
during the break.
During
So-
the show today. Yeah.
A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, George Pickens, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, St. Brown, Moore, Nakua, Garrett Wilson, Diggs. Sometimes you'll get it pointed out that, like, most of the time you're going to face zone. But the guys that beat man are the best receivers in football, like, pretty consistently. So there you go. There's your top 10. DJ Moore, 7th. Not too bad.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. 803-0550 to join us. 1-888-552-550. What else is going on? Owen and I put the boat in the water yesterday.
Nice.
Nice to get out there.
Nice.
Beautiful downtown.
How's the water? A little cold?
Cold.
Yeah, a little cold.
Cold.
Because it's very nice out, but it's not like nice
As in
the
the
equinox
solstice.
thing. Yeah,
I want to do the
solstice
thing where people notice the weather instead of look at stars.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
You know, summer, June, July, August. That's summer.
All right.
I got to be consistent all year round. Yeah. I forgot to give you your former Bills quarterback.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
took
yeah.
that wasn't trying to get elevated every week. And a response to that also from Al Karsten, who's an NFLer, who wrote in, I don't know what's more offensive. The assumption that practice squad player has any security in a job. The idea that players who spent most of their lives being passionate and dedicated to football, chasing an NFL opportunity, suddenly put it on cruise control once they get close. Or the notion that many practice squad players haven't already dealt with immense pressure while playing major college football. He should be shunned relentlessly for his horrendous take.
Yes, he should.
It's one of the worst takes ever made. But hey, it's Tom Brady. All right, rant over. More on A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Myles Garrett, whatever you want, coming up.
A busy day in the NFL yesterday. We'll start with the Bills. They signed wide receiver Mac Delana. They have released cornerback Darrell Porter Jr. And around the league, the Patriots acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown from the Eagles in exchange for a 2028 first and a 2027 fifth. And the Rams, they've acquired Myles Garrett from the Browns in exchange for edge rusher Jared Verse and a 2027 first, 2028 second, and a 2029 third. The Giants, they signed wide receivers Odell Beckham Jr., Juju Smith-Schuster, and Braxton Berrios. And ESPN's Adam Schefter reported yesterday Russell Wilson is finalizing a deal to join CBS to become a sports analyst. In the NHL, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Puck drop set for 8 o'clock between Vegas and Carolina. That'll be right here on WGR with pregame starting at 7:30. NBA Finals, Game 1 tomorrow night between the Spurs and the Knicks, an 8:30 tip. Around Major League Baseball, yesterday, the Mets fell to the Mariners 3-2. Tonight, the Red Sox host the Orioles at 6:45. The Yankees play the Guardians at 7:05. And the Blue Jays play the Braves at 7:15. Also, Serena Williams heading back to professional tennis after previously stepping away in 2022. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Played for the Packers for 9 years. I did not put them in the Super Bowl in this early prediction. You can check the timestamps. Before Myles Garrett got traded, I picked for the Super Bowl, and I had the Buffalo Bills taking on the Los Angeles Rams, and I actually picked the Bills to win this one.
Okay. But now that Myles Garrett's with the Rams, do you want to flip-flop back over? You know, he can maybe handle Josh Allen on the biggest stage.
No, maybe ask me like in August or maybe after the first couple preseason games if I want to come back to it. But right now, I got the Bills beating the Rams.
AJ Hawk on the Pat McAfee Show says Bills over Rams. That is picking the two favorites right now.
Right. The Bills went up in the order of Super Bowl favorites yesterday because Seattle went down below them.
Okay.
So the Bills' odds didn't change, but the Rams went up in the odds to plus 550. Like, their odds are almost twice as good as anybody else to win the Super Bowl. And because of that, Seattle's went down a little bit, so now the Bills are the second favorite.
If the Rams had the exact same season they just had and losing the NFC Championship game, people might say, like, the trade didn't work, but they were totally worthy of winning the Super Bowl last year. Or 2 plays away from doing it.
Honestly, the year before, they didn't win a playoff game, right? They lost to Philly. But Philly won the Super Bowl, and they cruised past everybody else. But in the first, I think it was the first game.
In the snow.
The Rams had like first and goal to win the game late. Like Stafford drove them all the way down the field, and they got to like the 10, and then they got stuck.
Yeah.
So they almost beat Philly the year before.
Yeah, they've been every bit as...
That was the second round, by the way.
They've been every bit as close as the Bills all these years with a Super Bowl win mixed in.
Right,
in the 13 seconds
and
here.
Another appearance if you want to go way back, right? In McVay's second year.
I guess you could do that.
I mean, in the McVay era,
he's been there twice.
They've been good every year but one. They've missed a play. Listen, like, that's the thing. There is sustainability, but what's really the value of that compared to, like, the Rams? Like, what would you prefer? The Rams had 2 seasons with Sean McVay as their head coach where they missed the playoffs. Just outright missed the playoffs. But they've made the Super Bowl twice and won it once. Like, sometimes being sustainable is good, and, like, being good every year is good, but, you know, if you gotta be afraid, a little more afraid of having a down year at some point because it's going to give you a better chance at winning a Super Bowl, then that's probably the better outcome if you ask most football fans.
I think it's Howard's birthday.
It's my dad's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to my dad. Is Howard have the same birthday as my dad?
I think it's Howard's birthday.
Don't you want to be sure of that before you announce it on the air?
Well, we're calling him. I told Joe Kelly to call him.
How does one look up birthdays
I know
these
it's
days?
like right around here.
If I Googled Howard Simon's birthday, you think it would come up?
Maybe. I think it's Howard's
I don't
birthday.
have the social media app that I used to use only for birthdays anymore.
I don't know if Howard would make it. June's a packed month. Love June.
Wait a minute. We're calling him right now. Ask him if it's his birthday. What if the answer is no?
He'll tell us, and then we can say early birthday. If it's not today, it was yesterday.
Then we just start going through Bills games.
I don't remember if he's the day before, the day after my cousin. I think it's Howard's birthday. You know, you can just tweet at him a happy birthday.
Everybody, it'd be funny though if it's not his birthday and everybody starts tweeting him happy birthday.
He's old. We can maybe convince him. Is it happy birthday? Is it today?
What, you don't know? It's not tattooed on your arm or something?
Is it today?
It is today.
Happy birthday. I got it right.
Wow, I thought he was going on a limb by announcing I think it's his birthday without knowing for sure.
Happy birthday. 48, huh? How about it? What a year for you.
I don't even remember 48th birthday, man. That was too long ago. Oh, my, 64.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I just wanted to call and say happy birthday and have everybody wish you happy birthday. You don't have to give us any takes on Myles Garrett or anything like that or A.J. Brown, unless you feel like it. But, happy birthday.
Did the Mets streak come to an end?
Actually,
that was going well, wasn't it?
Joe, they lost last night. You asking me not to talk sports is the best birthday gift anybody's going to get me today.
All right. What's on your mind? Anything?
What's the cake flavor you want?
Come on, you know me. Apple.
Yeah, right.
A fruit-flavored cake. Come on.
Apple cake or apple pie? Apple cake?
Apple cake. No, I want an apple cake.
No, I didn't. I didn't know this.
He doesn't want an apple cake.
No, he's making.
You want a chocolate cake?
Chocolate cake, baby.
Red velvet.
I'm good with yellow cake.
Yeah.
I'm good with like a yellow cake with chocolate icing.
All right. Well, happy birthday.
Are you getting me one?
Yeah, I'll be there this afternoon.
I see there's a package on the front porch. Is that your gift?
Definitely. That's definitely. Yep. 100%.
You're such a good man.
I do my best. Thanks, Howard. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Love you too. All right. What a win.
You nailed it.
What a win. Thanks, Joe Kelly, for calling. I'm like, out of nowhere, I was like, call Howard. I think it's his birthday.
It's his birthday.
Happy birthday. Most quarterback pressures over the last 2 seasons. Want this one too? I won't make you do trivia.
Is Garrett number one?
Garrett's number one.
When's the first Bill?
Oof. That I don't know. But I will say there was a stat that in the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
This one is quarterback pressures over the last 2 seasons, according to Next Gen Stats. Number 1, Myles Garrett. Number 2, Micah Parsons. Tied for number 2, Danielle Hunter.
Okay.
Number 4, Josh Hines Allen.
Okay.
Number 5 is a tie. Will Anderson and Jared Verse.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's where, Verse is great. 12 sacks, 2 years, whatever. The pressure numbers and everything. I guess, was it Sal earlier who somebody mentioned the one thing about Verse was just, he doesn't always get to the quarterback in the big moment. But I don't know. I feel like that's going to come. You're that good at getting to the quarterback. It's different to me than, the Bills in the big moment don't get to the quarterback. Isn't there a crazy stat going about, playoff losses the last time they have a sack? Verse, the Bills are not getting near quarterbacks in those games. But versus, you watch the Rams, he is always around. He's always beating his man, and he's affecting the quarterback almost every single play, it feels like, even when he's not getting home.
Is there any player on this Bills defense you wouldn't trade for Verse straight up?
Oh, I'd trade any of them. Benford's the only one you would really ask it about, right?
I think Benford would be a difficult one to do. I really like Cole Bishop, but if you're talking
no, I'd do it. I'd do it.
Bishop and Verse might be equals at their respective positions, and one's worth way, way more. But the point on Verse and these pressures, this is a great day to get into you can yell at somebody on Twitter for 4 hours about how pressures don't matter, sacks do. If pressures don't matter, explain Garrett, Parsons, Hunter, Josh Hines Allen, Verse, Will Anderson, Nick Bonito, Zach Allen. If you think only sacks matter, how many sacks did Myles Garrett have last year?
23 and a half.
Set the record, 23 and a half.
Yeah.
Yep. Are those the only plays that matter for Myles Garrett? The only plays?
No, there's how many plays where he made the quarterback run out of the pocket and
scramble,
it away? How many plays?
Throw an interception.
How many plays where plan A for the offense was to go to a receiver on the left, but Garrett got there so quick. Now the quarterback's got to run away and he's got to get to his third option or his fourth option.
That's not a sack. If you're someone out here dropping the old "tell me about sacks" card, you're not playing the game. 161 pressures for Garrett. Imagine if the Bills could get 100. That's over 2 seasons. So 80 pressures a year. 80 pressures.
Yeah.
Turns into 20 sacks, and the other 60 plays are the quarterback's job got tougher. And sacks, of course, are going to be directly related to who you're playing against. If Myles Garrett gets 80 runs at Josh Allen, how many times does he sack him? 6? If he gets 80 runs at Daniel Jones, how many times does he sack him? 12?
Mm-hmm.
If he gets 80 runs at Joe Burrow, how many times does he sack him? 18? It's not the same. You know? Like, pressures, of course, matter. And I don't think the Browns, right when this trade happened, I thought, you should try and trade for Jared Verse right now. But I don't think the Browns would do it. So if you offer them 2 firsts, would they do it?
For Verse?
They might
do it.
It might be worth it.
Yeah, they might do it.
Anyway.
He's
He's worth more than a first. He's worth way more than a late first.
What site were you looking at for the pressures?
Next Gen Stats.
Okay, so I'm using StatHead, and pressure numbers will be different by site. But I'm looking at the list of the last 2 years, and I do have Greg Rousseau coming in at 18th.
Very good.
In the last 2 seasons.
Pressures matter.
But he's kind of this a little bit too. I don't think he's Jared Verse. And he is lower. And also he's paid, which was part of why you're not outbidding Verse with Rousseau, because while Rousseau is also not as good of a player, he also has a contract already that has big money. To me, Rousseau though is Verse light for this argument, isn't he? Like, he is a guy who does get pressures, but he doesn't always get the sack. So I think Rousseau is probably better than what the sack numbers would tell you, but I don't think it's on the same level as Verse. Verse is like all-pro talent level guy, and that is not Rousseau. Rousseau is a good player, and Rousseau probably at some point, maybe it'll be in this new defense, won't he have 1 year where this sack luck, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Sure.
He has 7 sacks last year, 8 sacks the year before. Isn't Rousseau going to have 1 year where he has like 15? Like, what would you bet right now is his career high in sacks? Won't he have a year like that at some point? And then maybe we'll be fighting the other way, where I'll say, like, yeah, that's because of sack luck and whatever. Just like you played a bunch of quarterbacks that take a bunch of them. Like, I think he is way better than the sack numbers say. And I think Rousseau is probably a little bit better.
Get a couple calls in here, then we got to check in with the sense of Tuck, the latest in the pursuit of Alex Tuck. Rob in Connecticut. Rob, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Owen. It's funny you guys are talking about birthdays. Like, with you guys with the stats, I'm like the guy that remembers birthdays. So I already know, Jeremy, your birthday's coming up. Anyways, you started off this show with something that stuck out to me yesterday. Half measures availed us nothing. We never go bold. And that was the one thing that I was thinking about with those trades yesterday. They've come and gone. There's nothing we can do about it. We got to sit with what we have. I've always been frustrated that, like, during the draft, we never move up to go get that, like Concepcion. We passed on Howell. So I was frustrated with that. But this year, going into this year, my question to you guys is, who do you have more confidence in, our defense or our offense, especially with the 2 new coordinators? How do you feel? Is it going to be equal, or do you think our defense is going to be a little bit better than the offense? Are we going to struggle offensively? Because I'm not comfortable with the wide receivers yet. Yeah, we got Josh Allen. Yeah, we got Cook, but I'm just not too confident in the receiving part of it yet. But I think our defense, we've been talking a lot about our defense and what Leonard's going to do. For me, I think I'm more confident with the defense going into this season. I want to see how you guys feel about that. And happy birthday, Howard Simon.
Thanks, Rob. It's definitely the offense. Yeah, it's absolutely the offense. If the defense came near what the offense's ranking will be at DVOA or total offense, whatever you want to use, by the end of the season, they're going to be the best team in the AFC.
Right. I think
the offense's floor is like 7th best. Their ceiling is the best. The defense, if they were 7th best, I mean, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. Yeah.
Yep. You take it. I think you always have to be careful falling in love with your team this time of year. Every single defense sounds the same in June. I'm getting excited about this defense. Why? They're talking about being aggressive. They're talking about
right. No one's talking about being conservative right
mixing
now.
things up. They're talking about they have to play us. It's not just the Bills. It's everybody. Every team in the league right now is starting to think, I think this defense, they're hungry. This defense sounds like it's going to get nasty. Say it about every single team in the NFL. The Bengals are going to say this. Joe Burrow said the best roster they've ever had. They added Dexter Lawrence. Will it be a good defense? Maybe. Right. The Ravens, Jesse Minter's now in charge. I like what this guy says about his defense. The Rams add Myles Garrett. Like, pick any. Starting to think this Chiefs defense could be really nasty. Like,
the only teams you wouldn't say that about are the teams you're expecting to be like the worst teams in football. They're starting over.
Every team,
Miami, you would say that about probably.
What does Jacksonville think about its defense? What does Houston think about its defense right now? What does New England feel about their defense? Probably feel like it's going to be even better this year, right? Year two and added a couple pieces here and there. Like, just feeling good about your defense is getting your name on the SAT. Like, you wrote it down. Congratulations. It's not a point about the Bills. It's a point about every team in the league. So I always want to be careful about what I think about the defense until we actually see it in action.
I'll say this. How many coordinators, though, are saying what Jim Leonard said last week?
Which is that it's going to take some time, that we might not get it together in year one?
Yeah, you're not hearing that from most teams. Maybe you're hearing that from all the teams with new coordinators.
Maybe, yeah.
But, and I guess how many new coordinators are there? I'd wonder that, because that is in a way saying like it might not be great. That's it. We might not have a great defense this year. That is setting everybody up for that. And if you just look at the roster, I think you could arrive at that point too. Like, that is not new. It's part of the McDermott meeting last year about the roster isn't good enough. How much of that was the defense? And I look at the pieces that have replaced the names that are gone, and I feel better, and I feel like there is potential for an uptick, but part of that is where'd you start? You were starting with guys playing on your defense that McDermott had to work with that are not on teams anymore, are not in the league. Half your defense, half your starting defense is not in the league anymore. So almost anything you did this offseason was going to feel like, okay, I've got a shot here. And I feel like they've done fine. Bradley Chubb, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, D. Alford, the draft picks, T.J. Parker. Like, there's enough there for me to think it could be good.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm definitely not sure. Like, I think the variance in their defense is pretty big. I think they could be a top 10 defense in the league, and I think they could be a bottom 10 defense in the league. The offense, there's not a lot of question. It's going to be top 5, top 7. So that's the difference.
803-0550. Matt Harmon has his latest up on A.J. Brown player profile 2025, and it is very much a dip from 2024 in beating man coverage, in beating press coverage, in beating zone coverage, whether that's, the offensive design, a lingering knee injury. It is very much an age cliff warning. We'll see if he has anything left. Should we get to the sense of talk? Chris Johnston has the latest.
You got a little bit on that.
I just want to play the music. That's what I like. I want the music and the graphic. We have a sliding scale, in tuck, out of tuck.
So it's set at where it was last time? Set the starting point?
Which we have him as trending gone.
Trending gone. We've got him sort of in between the first and second prong on the out of tuck side.
We can slide him
Joe Kelly's
micrometers if we want to, left or right.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want with this little guy.
So, this morning on That's Hockey on TSN, Chris Johnston went on and said, on Alex Tuck and the Sabres, this is a very unique opportunity for him to get a contract north of $10 million on a long-term deal. It doesn't seem as though the Sabres are going to get there. Usually these deadlines, though, do push better offers.
Okay.
In tuck, out of tuck.
Is there any news there? Also, we could have used tucked in. Thank you to AC. I did think about that. Like,
tucked in.
Tuck us in.
Yeah.
Out of tuck. Anyway.
There's
not much new there.
The Sabres not getting there on a deal north of $10 million is about where where everybody
everyone
was already.
Seems to be in around that spot. And who wants me to know the Sabres aren't going to get there? Like Yarmo, I don't think we're going to get to 10. Or Tuck's agent, I don't think the Sabres are going to get to 10.
It just doesn't feel like that's where they're. It feels like they've done the thing that good teams do, and they've drawn a line in the sand. Listen, we like you. We think you're worth this, but we're just not going to go above it.
Yeah.
And that's how teams that are in this position, I think, should operate.
I might draw a line in the sand if this were a game show where publicly I could see your bids and your lines.
Right.
But you might draw a line in the sand and Tuck comes back and says 500 more, and they say, okay.
Sure.
And then they say, that was our line.
Right.
You draw your line. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, I think that's only really applicable when you lose the guy, and then you want to say, like,
then it's about your,
line.
we have our standards.
Yeah, right. That might be right.
I don't know that this moves the needle for me much. I still think he's trending gone. However, I was talking with the big guy. I was talking with Bulldog on Friday. Yes, about Tuck, and he referenced when Yarmo was talking about him, he mentioned his size. And if they lose Tuck, it's the kind of thing where, like, he's not all of their size, but he's size.
Yeah.
And all the guys coming up, there's not a lot of size. So if you want to differentiate your forward group and have somebody that plays with, the way that Tuck plays and also is kind of big, that'd be a big departure to lose the size of an Alex Tuck.
Just trade for Matthew Nyes.
There you go.
He's younger Alex Tuck.
And he's tight with Doan, is it? They do a podcast. They do a podcast together.
Oh, I don't know about a podcast.
All right, maybe
I know that they played together, like in Arizona and stuff, and like they've known each other a long time.
Maybe they just were on a podcast together.
That might be right. They might have done.
Everybody does a podcast together, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. It feels like that.
The size point would be.
Yeah, that's an interesting
one thing I think of there is, and you could relate this to Tuck because honestly, Tuck. I mean, he disappears in the Montreal series, which is a more skilled, fast finesse team. He plays fantastic in the Boston series, which is a heavier, physical type of opponent.
Is this about seeing where the game's going? Like, who are the teams?
It's not even just that. It's the teams you want to.
Who are
teams
you
you
see?
Are planning on having to get through.
Florida and Tampa?
Florida and Tampa are squarely in the way. Do you look at Tuck and say, I don't really care how he played against Montreal? Not to say you couldn't play Montreal again, but just I feel like he would help us a lot against a Florida or a Tampa, where I'm not sure what does Noah Ostlund look like in that series? Does he get pushed around? Does he get? I mean, I kind of want to throw all that out because I feel like everybody that was wondered about in the Boston series when it was tight and heavy,
got pushed around.
No, Benson did not.
No.
Or Ostlund had great games.
Great, yeah.
So I don't have a worry about that. But that's all it would be. Like, is Tuck the type of player I'm going to want in a series against that type of team?
Yeah, but even then, Florida next year, they're going to be great. How long are they going to be the team? I think you're looking at Montreal is going to be the team you see. With this core, I would bet you see Montreal more times than you see Tampa.
Isn't Montreal going to think that they got to do a little of this too, though?
Oh, yeah.
Montreal
they're going to get bigger?
And Montreal has a big contract coming off their books, Line A's contract. So, they'll do something. Right, but are they going to think, let's get another Josh Anderson somewhere on our roster?
They were trying to trade for Matthew Nyes at the deadline. That was they were going after him.
This is not a size point, but I saw are one of the teams in the Jordan Kyrou race.
Okay. Sure.
Race. He is not a big guy. He's like 6'1".
No, but he's big enough that it's not a. We wouldn't look at him and go like that's a small guy.
How big are the Sabres even if they trade Tuck? Their blue line's enormous.
That's never changing.
And their forward group,
Tage
is big.
I mean, Doan is a stocky guy. Doan's hefty.
Norris is not small.
Norris is not a tiny guy.
Quinn. That's
Quinn's
not
small.
Huge. Quinn won more battles in the playoffs than I thought he would.
I could not believe how good he was on the boards in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, controlling the puck. So, yeah, I think they play big. That's
they
what
play
do.
big.
They play big.
Doan and Benson play 5 inches bigger than they are.
100%. Benson plays like a guy that's 6'5". He plays like he's my size, and he's not, but he's awesome and does everything that guy would ever do, except maybe fight a guy. So, I don't know. I feel like we're in the same spot with Tuck, where we're like, I think he's probably gone. I just don't think it's. Yeah.
Tuck was
leaning gone.
Tuck was third on the team in hits in the playoffs, by the way, if you care. He had 37, Malenstein 42, Samuelson 44.
Don't you think that Doan, after another couple of years, could get bigger, strong? He's still young. He could get stronger and get meaner and have that. Same with Benson. Same with a bunch of these guys. They could all grow into that. a little bit too. Like it's not like they're all developed into the man strength situation that they're going to be at the end of the day.
And while Tuck is big, he is, and I think he does rate in the physicality department. Like again, he showed up in the playoffs. Like the hits went up. The battles in the Boston series that he was winning, game 1, they don't win without him winning a battle along the boards to get it out to Tage.
Right.
But historically, he's not a power forward. Right?
No,
He's a speed guy.
Yeah. He's on the rush.
So while he has the size, it's not necessarily like the number one thing of his game.
No.
So
he's capable of it, and he's good at forechecking because of that and the length.
Right.
But
right.
I wouldn't say that he's necessarily a bruiser in any real significant way.
803-0550 if you want to pop on for anything.
So we did not move it, right?
No, we're going to keep him
where it is.
Keep him right where he's at. I think he's in a good spot right now, just sort of leaning. I mean, we could go to fully to the third tick if we want to.
I'm good with where it is.
I think
like
we're all right. Yeah. We'll keep him where he's at.
What else here? What else? I'll get a break in. June 2nd. Summer.
Lock.
Yes.
One of their newer songs.
Then there's
in the early 2000s.
Don't know it.
Yosin.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Great song.
I've just got Summer Teeth, the Wilco album in my head because I loved it as a kid. I don't have a song.
Summer of 69.
Obviously.
Oh, that's a good one.
We also
probably the most popular one.
We also never mentioned the worst trade in Buffalo sports history. We like kind of
we never.
We kind of brought that up and didn't have one top of mind. And
the Hasek trade came to mind for me immediately. You traded the best player in the sport, and you got Slava Kozlov.
Yeah, and a first that
I don't think became anything.
No. But you were forced into that trade. Let's go with the trade you weren't forced into.
Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah, that was like you felt like you had to.
Right.
Why did they feel like they had to do that?
Because he got into a thing.
Yeah,
there was
there was stuff.
A guy they traded just like because they thought it was a really good idea, like the Luka trade.
Yeah. No
surprise, that guy's fired already.
The worst trade in Buffalo sports history. Is it wrong that we need a minute and we're not like getting it?
I thought of Braden McNabb for Hudson Fasching in 2
That's
second-round
pretty
picks.
bad. That is pretty bad.
But I'm not sure that can't be the answer. It's too minor. That's too small a deal, right?
Trading out of Mahomes, but nobody really knew that was going to be that.
I wouldn't say that.
My problem with that trade is always they ruled out quarterback.
Yeah.
Anytime you've ever ruled out quarterback in a draft, you've made a mistake.
Oh, who did the Sabres trade to the Jets? Howard Chuck. Was that a bad one?
I don't know that trade.
I've heard somebody.
Howard Chuck for
this is completely
Housley?
not even my own mind, but somebody at some point said that to me. It was a bad trade.
Well, they have. No, sorry, that's the other way around. I was thinking of Gratton for Briere.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, that was
That's
good.
That's the opposite.
That was a good one.
Of what we're really looking for here. Man, I might have to think a little harder. Because you don't want the sell trades here.
No.
All right.
Anyway.
I'll come up with something.
803-0550. Get to more of your calls. Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
Quickly, Sal, state of the Bills. You're doing defensive line or defensive tackle? What'd you label it as?
I called him defensive line, and after talking with Jim Leonard last week, I think that's where I'm just going to settle.
Yeah.
It's no problem if anybody wants to say defensive tackle. You want to call Ed Oliver a defensive tackle. You want to call Landon Jackson defensive tackle. That's fine. To me, they are because their hands are down. They might be the last guy on the line when they line up in a certain set. But I call them defensive tackles, and I call the outside guys edge rushers. They're traditional defensive ends. But there's a lot. There's a lot of guys here, and I just am really curious to see how a lot of this sorts out over the next a couple of months, basically, before we get to during training camp and before we get to the season. But I mean, one of the biggest things, guys, is just there's been so many injuries up front that you have to see how guys are coming back and then throw in the mix of course, playing different roles and different positions. I mean, I think Landon Jackson's the guy you look at the most of a different position and different role. He was a stand-up defensive end. Now he's got his hand down. He's gained 20, 25 pounds. He's expected to hold the point of attack inside the line, not outside,
Sneaky
but
Joe
inside
DiBiase.
the tackle, the 4-eye technique. You have TJ Sanders, who did play some defensive end last year due to injury, but he's going to have his hand down, of course. Deion Walker is. Ed Oliver is going to be a guy that, he's going to be on the end of the line with his hand down as what might look like a defensive end, but he's a defensive tackle. He has to penetrate. What did they say last week? I love what Leonard said. A little more freedom for Ed Oliver, right? Ed Oliver, he's going to, be able to kind of maybe he's going to expect him to be impactful from that respect, be able to kind of do some of the things he wants to do. And then you have Dwayne Carter coming off an Achilles injury last year, missed the entire season. Landon Jackson missed almost the entire season. TJ Sanders missed 5 games last year. Ed Oliver missed all but 3 games last year. You think about the injuries up front, it's kind of wild to think about this group right now and coming into this year and what to try to expect from the new positions and trying to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I am curious about the Bills and their pursuit of this, or what their willingness would have been, because the Rams, I just have so much respect for the Rams, the guts that they have on deals, and just it really is bleep them picks. I mean, versus the only first-round pick they've made in 10 years, right? Like, that's also incredible, isn't it, that they're 1 for 1? Like, we've made 1 first-round pick in a decade, and he was awesome, and he was great.
He was also
and he allowed us to make this trade.
He was also 11th overall.
Yeah, he wasn't like top 5.
Right, which I've got a point to make about that a little bit later, too, because there's a funny thing that, well, in a couple of years we'll see where the trend falls. But
right. But the Rams' aggressiveness, like, yes, this guy is young and he's great, and he's only going into year 3. And, we don't care.
Oh, sorry, he was 19th overall, Jared Verse.
19th, even better. So, like, we're going to trade that guy. We're going to latch a first-round pick onto him. I mean, really, he's the defensive version of the Goff-Stafford trade, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like, we got a guy we know is good, and, we're going to attach first-round picks to it, and we're going to go upgrade. We're going to go get a guy that's even better at his position than he is. And that's where you can't know, because the Bills have not got themselves to a position where they have a Jared Verse to have this tested. But I would be very curious to know if they had a Jared Verse, would they have been willing to make a trade like this? Because can't you just see the Bills having a Jared Verse and just thinking, yeah, what do we need to do that for? This guy's great. He's young. And
100%.
And we're going to pay him. And, like, we drafted and develop. And, like, honestly, I think if the Bills had Jared Verse, I don't think they would have made this trade.
I agree with that. And there's a case that they shouldn't. Right? I don't think it has to be the biggest blockbuster for the Rams that makes sense. The Rams just spent a first-round pick on a quarterback, which they didn't have to do. They could have just drafted, Reuben Bain, had a young rookie defensive end to throw out there on that nasty offensive line, and not traded a whole carton of picks and Jared Verse. So I don't think it has to be that the Rams fleeced anybody or that this is a guarantee they should have done it. But, yes, I'm glad you brought exactly that point up, because if the Bills had a great young player, would they walk away from him for the best player at the position? And I don't know that the answer to that is yes.
A lot of movement and a lot of change in Carolina, whether it be Matt Rule was his coach, Ron Rivera was his coach, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, a bad Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater quarterbacks. I mean, Caleb Williams as a rookie trying to learn a horrible offensive line, and he still produced every single year. And I'm not trying to carry DJ Moore's water, but I will say going to a situation with an elite quarterback, a guy that's called plays in that building for a period of time where there's a culture established and there's an offensive game plan established, I think will do wonders for him. And he's willing to do almost everything, including come out of the backfield like he did last year.
Will Kunkel covers the Texans, also tight with DJ Moore, was on the afternoon show. Good conversation with him. I want more tours of the stadium. The Bills should
at
be
this
doing,
point, it's like it's just going to be open soon.
Yeah, the Bills have the keys to it now, and
yeah,
I want to see, are they putting fryers in? You know, are there fountain or the show me the beer taps? Enough of the field. Let's see a beer tap.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see some lines get run.
Pete Gwelly's tweet said that one of the things that's nearing completion is the concourse level or concourse areas. So that's close. Yeah, 96% complete in the 4 X's that still have a little work left. Football areas are nearly ready. Concourses and seating bowl close to completion. And then final signage and furniture, and then the bison sculptures.
Furniture, huh?
I mean, you need that in some
Does
places.
concourse include? It can't include like all the things that are going to make the food. It just means the structure, right?
Well, you can't have the things that make the food unless there's structure.
That's what I'm saying. Like when he says the concourse is complete, that doesn't mean there's a
Nearing
popcorn machine in there.
No,
That
I think
means
that's
the space for the popcorn machine in the concourse is complete. Are the bathrooms
unless
operational?
the structure is complete, and the next thing is bringing all of that stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
The coolers and the taps and Show us the nacho machines.
Show us the beer taps already. Well, no, let's get the important stuff.
I mean, we've seen everything else is pretty much the seats are in, and
apparently you can
field
walk
and
up to the
video
door.
board.
You can walk up to the front gate.
Front gate.
The front gate that's turnstile. Is it turnstile in, and then on the way out they're going to open those garage doors and everyone just streams out? Because that's the security part. There's going to be the security gate. You can be around the stadium, and then the ticket is after that, which I think is going to be great. I think that little mini football field out there. They have one of those in Pittsburgh.
Okay. All right.
Let's get in there again.
There was a really little one in front of the Bill store on Abbott.
Yeah?
It was like 10 yards. Like really small.
Was it
I think it was turf.
Was it 10 yards of turf or a 10-yard football field?
There might have been a yard line on there.
You
Maybe
gotta-
a feet line.
You got to have 2 end zones if you're going to be a football
there definitely
field.
wasn't 2 end zones.
Okay. Then it's
There might have been 1 end zone. Yeah.
Luke in Silver Creek. Good morning, Luke.
Hey, good morning, guys. So I kind of wanted to ask about being here just with all this trade talk. And I go back to the press conference that Terry Pagula and Bean had, where Terry Pagula at one point mentioned the fact about Bean drafting Josh Allen as part of the impetus and decision-making for keeping Bean. And I kind of want to just challenge, I guess the idea of how much credit Bean should actually get for drafting Josh Allen. Obviously, we're all thrilled that he did draft Josh Allen. It worked out great, and we love Josh, and it's incredible in that way. But in terms of the actual decision-making process, if it wasn't for historical, arguably, unprecedented ascension from Josh that had never happened before, that wouldn't be a good pick. And so, I guess, how much credit should Bean get for making a selection that is only a good pick because of something that happened that kind of wasn't totally in his control? It was more Josh making that jump. And I don't know how Bean could have predicted that. Obviously, he makes the trade for Steph, which helps that and builds the team around Josh. But just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
That probably comes down to whether or not you think anybody can accurately predict if a quarterback is going to be good. If you think people can, then he gets a lot of credit. If you think people can't, there aren't many examples. It's a really tough thing to ask only because you don't have 30 GMs with 100 kicks at the can to get a quarterback. If you had that, you might be able to separate, well, this guy can identify talent and this guy can't. And there's so many variables. Is he coachable? Will he get hurt? Does he get a chance to go in? Does he get a good coordinator, right? Allen jumps in with Brian Dable, and it works right away. If Caleb Williams had Matt Eberflus for 5 years or 4 years because their defense was good and never got to Ben Johnson, would you ever get the best out of Caleb Williams? Maybe, maybe not. There's so many variables in there that I think if you want to ask that question, you can and answer either way, where he deserves all the credit or he deserves just a nice job finding a good person that's coachable. There's a million different ways to look at it. I think.
I would give credit just for two reasons. One would be that he was so unpolished, and it would have taken some courage to take a guy that wasn't good in college, because you're betting on the person, but you're also betting on this dude's arm is insane and his athleticism is insane, and if it does work, we're talking about one of the best quarterback in football, like you would hope. That might even be second for me. The number one place I might want to give credit is the movement in the draft to get him in the first place. To move up twice over the course of a month to get to 7 and have that be a double trade up from 22 or wherever they began. You trade Cordy Glenn, you get halfway there, then you go the rest of the way. That to me is where maybe he deserves the most credit, is getting into a position to draft Allen in the first place. And even that, you could play hindsight and say you could have just sat where you were and picked Lamar Jackson. But, no, he deserves... That is the number one thing he'll ever do for this Bills team until they win the Super Bowl. But I think the issues aren't about that. It's always about after that. What's happened since? You got that one right, and... the scouting that went into that, the trading up that went into that, the luck that went into it too, right? Because, if Cleveland makes a trade with Seattle, Allen's not there to them. He's picked number 1 overall. If the Giants or Denver decided, Elway, Elway loves to tell the story. He wanted Allen. He just couldn't convince his coaches to do it. All right, John.
Right.
But if that had happened, everybody in Denver was on board, then okay, he's not there.
Then what happens?
An element of it is luck too. But no, I don't think you need to go too far to take credit away from picking Josh Allen. I think it's all about after that.
There's also, when you draft a quarterback, what do you project him to be? Could anybody have reasonably predicted Josh to be this good? You never would have dreamed of it. You'd say, we think he could be a franchise quarterback,
What their ceiling was, unless you are the generational quarterback prospect like when Andrew Luck came into the league.
Yeah. And did he smash
through? And those
through?
are very rare.
And he didn't smash through.
No,
and Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be that good, kind of.
Right, and he hasn't met it.
No.
He's good, but he has not met what his hype was at all.
I don't think so.
And Luck probably didn't either, right?
No, probably not.
He was great. Was he ever the best quarterback in the league? People thought he was going to be? Was he ever in an MVP race? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. 803-0550. The Carolina Hurricanes and Las Vegas Golden Knights play tonight. We have not mentioned it until right now. I know you were thinking, I almost got all the way through the show.
I'm kind of glad about that in some ways.
Carolina and Vegas tonight. The league thinks Vegas is going to win. I saw Pierre LeBrun asked 27 executives in the league.
And they all think
not all, but Vegas won. Vegas won the informal who you got poll.
All right. Saw some Florida Panthers people saying it's an asterisk if Carolina wins, because they didn't go through Florida.
Oh, right.
Who destroys them every time. But
yes. All those championships during the Bills drought deserve an asterisk because you didn't go through the Bills. Non-playoff team says you didn't beat us.
Yeah.
Cool. Taylor Gooch says the Masters doesn't count.
Right, Taylor Gooch.
Congratulations.
They did have more wins than Vegas this year.
Florida?
Yeah.
But they just did not earn as many.
No, they didn't get as. I mean, they didn't play in the West, and they also, they lost a lot more games in regulation.
They did.
Florida. That's the way you want it. That's the way you want to put it, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is right. I'm not mocking. I think
honestly,
that's fair.
Here's the thing:
Florida didn't go to overtime.
How many times did Florida get a point in a game they didn't win? Answer:
Yeah, how many?
4.
Right.
4 times.
Yeah.
You earn that point. And they didn't earn it.
The better way to say it, right, because Florida had more wins than Vegas. They also lost in regulation 12 more times than Vegas did.
I know people don't like to look at it that way, but those are regulation losses. The Florida Panthers lost 38 games in regulation. Only 4 teams lost more. Those are 0-point games.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you miss? Get to overtime. It means something that has value. Chicago, the Rangers, the Flames, the Canucks. Nobody else lost more games in regulation than Florida.
Wow.
That's bad.
Yeah, it's very bad.
Extendo Sports coming up on WGR. Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show coming up. I feel pretty confident who I am rooting for in this series between Carolina and Vegas. Maybe you out there feel confident, but you never know. We might get to the game, and you flip the script. You find out you didn't know who you're rooting for. So,
yep. I am really going to wait for that on tomorrow night, the NBA Finals.
Spurs and Knicks?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to know who I'm rooting for until tip-off.
I might not know until like game 6. Really. I might not know.
Right, someone does something in the series I don't like.
Who would that even be?
I don't know. There's not really a dirty player on either side. But that doesn't mean somebody could.
That's why villains are good. You got to have someone to root against.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're back tomorrow.
Maybe like Spike Lee runs out on the court and does something. It'll make me feel that way.
You want Timothée Chalamet to be mad.
Hey, he's tough to get to unlikable, though.
Yep.
So.
All right. Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. We're back tomorrow.